Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Mormon Stories podcast. I am one of your hosts for today, John DeLynn. It is March 16th, 2026. I'm here with Sammy or Samantha from Self on the Shelf. Hey, Samantha.
Hello, John.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah, I'm pumped.
On a scale of 0 to 10, how excited are you for today, Samantha?
I am actually out of 10.
And for a Brit, that's a lot, right?
Yeah, that which is
that's max.
It's like dangerous, yeah.
Well, today we are super excited because it is Secret Lies of Mormon Wives season. Season 4 just recently dropped. And this is the first time I've had an actual member of the cast. I don't know if Chase, you're officially considered a member of the cast.
Background dancer. Yeah.
What?
I'm just a background dancer. That's my part.
But yeah, the Chase is here from Secret Lies of Mormon Wives. And we've tried to cover each season a little bit on Mormon Stories podcast, not extensively.
Just like a few 6-hour episodes each time.
Yeah, sometimes we'll record more hours than actually are released in a given season. But hopefully we won't be that obnoxious today. But of course, this show, Secret Lies of Mormon Wives, is not just one of the biggest things in Mormonism. Is it the most streamed show ever on Hulu?
It's number 1 on Hulu right now. I think it's like 3 on Disney Plus, and the girls every single season produce at a level that I think is really cool. And I think that's I think every season's hit number 1 on Hulu. So it's hard to argue with what them and the production team are able to put together. So it's a big deal. It's cool.
And Taylor is she premiering his The Bachelorette already started? Or?
I think it's March 22nd.
So The Bachelorette's about to drop.
Yeah.
Whitney and Jen were just recently on Dancing with the Stars.
Yep.
Like, Mormons are taking over the world.
They really
Chase.
are. Miranda, stay tuned. She's got stuff coming up that I'm really stoked about for her. It's crazy. The girls are going places. They really are.
That's super fun. And so on Mormon Stories, what we try and do, occasionally we cover history and truth claims, occasionally we cover current events, but our bread and butter is people's Mormon story. And so I have to admit that, for me, I'm super interested to hear, Chase, just your Mormon story.
Yeah.
I think we may spend 2/3 of whatever time we have today on that, and then maybe a third on your experiences with reality TV. Samantha, what's your vision for today?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Samantha, do you want to tell people about you just super quick?
I'm one half of Self on the Shelf, and I also coach people who are navigating faith transitions. So.
And you made today happen.
Yep. And I'm a real go-getter.
Got that DM, and I was stoked.
Yep.
Yeah. So Chase, before we dive into your story, how are you known on Secret Lies of Mormon Wives? Do you play a role? Are there certain plot lines that you're most known for? Just to kind of give people a sense for kind of how you're known on the show before we dive into your background.
Yeah. No, I think, people that followed it, me and Miranda were married. We were Taylor's really good friend prior to the whole swinging scandal, her and her ex-husband. So when that happened, we kind of distanced ourselves from her, which people had a lot of opinions about, rightfully so. And then, we got divorced, and I've been, co-parents with her ever since. And we've done that cordially. So I guess, I also have notoriously made some poor decisions that, people have seen in the last couple of years. So I think that there's a little bit of he's an idiot. But he's also been around with, the affiliation with Taylor from the beginning. And
did you dated Taylor at least at one point, right?
No, no, we never dated. There's a lot of speculation as to how that went down, but we were always just friends. And then, the swinger thing happened, Swingergate or whatever. And me and Miranda kind of took a step back. And so I've been, friends with Taylor for a long time. And then now, a lot of the girls, I friends with Layla, who I kind of hung out with, and my brother dated. So there's a lot of tie-ins to, I guess, the girls on that. And then mostly just Miranda's co-parent. People sometimes joke around and say, Mr. Miranda, which I'm honored by and totally cool with. So that's kind of it, I would say.
Okay, very cool. And you said, we're not going to be going deep into the swinging stuff, but you did say you're okay, at least talking a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Well, cool. Well, let's go back then and just do a classic traditional Mormon story. Is that all right?
Let's do it.
Okay. So were your parents born in the covenant or were they converts to the Mormon church?
My mom was born in the church. My dad, really cool story, actually. He had basically a single mom in Texas, not a lot of money. And the elders knocked on her door. And I think the way they tell the story is that she like was smoking a cigarette, like basically blew smoke in their face and was not interested. But they end up converting her and the rest of the family. My dad had like, I think 8 siblings. I think there's 8 total actually, so 7. And then he went on to go to BYU, go on a mission, and yeah, extremely Orthodox member of the church to this day.
Your dad.
So yeah, my dad. Yeah. And so my mom and him got married in the temple, raised us all in the church. So
which temple? Do you know which temple they got married in?
They got married in, I want to say Idaho Falls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So by the time, how many siblings do you have?
So I'm the oldest of 4. I have 3 siblings.
Okay. You were born what year?
95.
95. Okay. So you're born in 95, the oldest of 4. Your parents are temple married.
Yep.
So what was your Mormon childhood like? And Samantha, I'll jump in any point.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I think pretty standard in Rexburg. I mean, my dad was a pediatric dentist. So by the time I was in high school, like to think I grew up in pretty affluent, neighborhood.
Tell people what Rexburg is like.
Oh, Rexburg is.
I call it Mormon Saudi Arabia, which is probably offensive.
Freezing.
It's like if Provo had 50,000 people. I like that's kind of how I describe it.
But it's worse, isn't it?
It's way worse.
It is
Isn't it
worse.
like per capita the most? Oh yeah, Sammy, you went
3.5 years I lived
at
there.
BYU,
Yeah.
Idaho.
Oh,
Yeah.
you did? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Isn't it like considered the most conservative Orthodox population per capita in the world
I think
for
so.
Mormons?
Yeah. I actually
Did
think
it
so.
feel that way?
It does. Absolutely.
Okay.
Everyone's, for the most part, LDS, conservative, not a ton of diversity. Obviously, BYU Idaho is an interesting university where there are rules that I don't even think apply to BYU Provo. So yeah, it was, I mean, I actually think having grown up there, I remember like my high school memories are fond and I had good friends. But I also that's all I knew. But yeah, it's an interesting place. It's a tiny little town and there's not a lot of variance in thought or belief.
And so your dad was a pediatric dentist, and like you said, that means he was affluent. Was your mom a stay-at-home mom?
She was. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all would have lived if there's a fancier part of town in Rexburg, you would have lived there, right?
Yeah, in Rexburg, we kind of had in one of the neighborhoods where, yeah, I would say definitely more on the affluent side, and we had great neighbors, great people that I'm still friends with.
So, did your family do the traditional scripture study, prayer, family home evening, 3 hours of church on Sunday, no R movies, no swearing, all that kind of stuff?
We did most of that. Church on Sundays. Attempted to do family home evenings. I mean, scripture study, not so much, but like prayer at night with the family. We followed most of the rules. I think my parents, they had a marriage that was kind of difficult for them to navigate throughout. I think most of it, and they recently, a couple years ago, got divorced. But
that would have been after what, 20 plus years?
30
years.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I think we followed most of that. I went to church on Sundays. I went to Mutual on Tuesdays, knew that I was going to go on a mission because my dad did, and all my uncles and some of my older cousins on my dad's side. So yeah, I think it was pretty standard upbringing in the church. And for the most part, I remember I never really considered even any other school of thought or like lifestyle, just because that's how everyone lived in Rexburg in my circle.
I always ask people if they remember their favorite primary songs. Did you have any favorite primary songs?
Oh, the one where it's like, it's mine is a home. Like there's like the guy part and the girl
Love is
part.
Spoken Here.
Yeah, that one's a banger. I like that one because it's
I see my mother kneeling.
Yeah, that's a good one. I just like the melody in that. It's kind of good.
Was the eternal family message sort of
Totally.
very important to you?
Yeah. I mean, I remember just thinking, of course, like this is that obviously makes sense that this is the goal because, who wouldn't want to be with their family forever? So yeah, that was definitely at the core of our whole family's belief.
As a child, did you feel tension between your parents, even pre-high school, pre-middle school kind of thing?
Yeah, I think so. I think I especially in high school, but before so, yeah, I think just, knowing they weren't like a couple there wasn't like PDA or like a whole lot of you didn't feel like they were super into each other. And that's not like trying to discredit them at all, because I think they tried to make that work a lot. I know they went to extensive like couples therapy and stuff, but yeah, they just weren't. I think they grew apart, and I think that the kids kept them together. But that's why as soon as the kids were out of the house, that was the end of that. So yeah.
Did they have like the traditional? Did your dad get called into the bishopric, or was he young men's leader? Was your mom Relief Society president, or primary president, or young women's president? Those sorts of colleagues?
My mom spent time as in the Relief Society. I don't want to misspeak, so I don't really know what to which magnitude or what her degree or calling was. My dad was in the was one of the counselors. He spent time as a bishop in one of the BYU Idaho wards.
So your dad is a former Mormon bishop.
Yes.
And he was in a bishopric.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shows a level of significant devotion.
Totally. And he still serves. I don't even know what his calling is now, but he's an active temple attendance. You know, my mom, I think, still goes. So yeah, very, very devoted.
Okay. So any big traumatic things happen as a part of your Mormon story, let's say pre-middle school, pre-high school, or was it just kind of a bucolic, idyllic Rexburg Mormon upbringing?
It was the latter for most of my upbringing. I never even had a semblance of doubt with what the lifestyle was with going to church and the path that was kind of laid out. Honestly, my first rude awakening or introduction to another school of thought that, maybe outside of Mormonism, there might be a way or a path in life was on my mission. So
okay, before we get there, can I have a couple more questions?
Totally.
So in the middle school, high school years, the standards of behavior for Mormons are a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
So whether it's word of wisdom, no alcohol, no tobacco, no drugs, no coffee, no tea, or with law of chastity, no sex, nothing close to sex, only kissing, no masturbation, no porn. Did any of those things feature prominently in your adolescence?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I the word of wisdom never even was an issue. I never went to parties with any of it. It was never around. I think I figured out, I identified for the first time the smell of alcohol on my mission. But before in my high school, it was always like run-ins with law of chastity. I had a girlfriend my junior year. I had a girlfriend my senior year. And yeah, like the whole, the pornography thing, obviously I went to the priesthood sessions with my dad when Boyd K. Packer would talk about, talk about pornography in a way that made you feel like if that was something that you were actively participating in, you were in a bad spot. So all of that, I remember I remember having a pretty big guilt complex, I think, around that, because I was like, man, I'm not really anywhere near perfect in this regard. And I feel like that's maybe what's holding me back. And to my dad's a great person. I think that he was obviously raised without a dad. So I think that he kind of was running, attacking the dad approach, without any example. But I remember him saying, even in sports, like if you weren't, I played sports a lot growing up, and if you weren't playing well, I remember him being like, well, are you living right? Because if you're not living right, like that's not going to translate well. So then every time I had a bad game, I was like, well, I can point to like all the reasons why I'm probably not playing well. And I feel like that was a pretty big hindrance on confidence, because obviously you're never going to be like perfect. And it's pretty easy to look back and realize that maybe you've done some things wrong. And then that becomes the scapegoat for why you played bad, instead of maybe like lack of practice. Or lack of repetition. So I remember that, and I kind of put that all together way later on in life and being like, oh, why did I think that like me having a bad game in basketball had anything to do with maybe hooking up with my girlfriend, and not even hooking up really, like doing some of the things that are like, Mormon coded when it comes to hooking up, and then blaming myself for bad sports performances in high school.
So just kind of making out kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, making out. I mean, I guess the term in church, whatever, like touching, heavy petting, is that what they say?
Yeah.
Which the term alone makes me want to never do that again. But totally. That was kind of where I was like, man, I felt a lot of guilt, and I had to go to my bishop a number of times, different bishops who had different reactions.
To do what? Why?
Just to tell them like, hey, I want to get clean so that I can be the best version of myself. I did X, Y, Z, and with my girlfriend or this girl. And yeah, having two different bishops, different people that had different reactions to some of those things. And it wasn't ever sex. It was second base, third base, that stuff. But feeling like I had to do that because I wanted to go on a mission, first of all. And also I wanted to get, blessings or whatever it was. And in order to do that, I needed to be clean or whatever. So yeah, I totally had a complex with that I remember being like, this is a lot. Like I more often than not felt like I was really, really guilty. And that's not a great feeling. And I think that is a hindrance to confidence. So I think that that's something that I relate with on a personal level.
Were you ever told by the bishop you can't take the sacrament or you can't pass the sacrament? Any like punishments that would feel shaming?
Totally. Yeah, there was a couple times where I was like, all right, we're going to work through this, and in an encouraging sense, but like, we're going to work through this, but we're going to make sure you don't take the sacrament for a while, and we're going to, whatever it is, maybe we meet up again in a couple weeks and see how you're doing and go from there. So yeah, like the no sacrament thing happened a couple times to me.
When you look back, there's a couple ways to kind of think about that. One is that the church leaders are keeping you out of trouble, keeping you from unwanted pregnancy, keeping you from STIs, and that's probably keeping your life less complicated. Then there's probably another way to look at it, which is like they're preventing you from normative, healthy, exploratory experiences, and or building a bunch of shame that's going to leave scars and damage. Looking back now, do you see it as both or neither or one or the other?
I think it's super individual, because I think that some people, I know people that, have abided by those rules successfully, it appears so, throughout their life, because they're the type that you just tell them, don't touch the oven, and they never will. Unfortunately, my personality type is consistently been the opposite, where I want to make sure it's hot, and then I'll probably double down and make sure it's hot a second time. So I don't think for me, it was really all that effective. And I think, that's why it's part of what makes me, but I also think that for some people, like my dad, I think my dad's the type that if you tell him not to do something and you say it's because of religion or God or whatever, I think that he's the type that really won't. And so it's kind of hard for him to relate with me on that, but just variance in how we are and our personalities. I
saw a report. I don't know if you saw this, Samantha. I saw a report this week that Salt Lake City is third in the nation per capita for OnlyFans usage. And, years ago, I heard that Pornhub, had Utah as like the number one per capita usage of porn. And then apologists want to dismiss that. But now it's coming up with OnlyFans. And I just really believe, and I've, studied psychology a bit, like there's a whole group of Mormons where you tell them not to do something, you're literally going to make them more likely to do the thing you're telling them not to do. In other words, the church is, for many Mormons, creating the problem that they claim to want to be solving. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
So you're saying that was your experience?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is based on personality. And I know for me, I think that's why Utah is one of the top opiate use states. I mean, because you can get your drug fix, but it's from a doctor, which you can then say, this is okay. And it's actually probably a lot more harmful than medicinal marijuana or something, or non recreational usage. But yeah, I think that with people like me, when you tell them something like that, don't do this, because I think that it would have been more effective for me. And how I'll parent my kids is more so, like you said at the beginning, where it's like the reason you don't want to hook up with people in high school, because I'm not advocating for that, but it's because of having sex in high school is really risky, because you can end up with an unwanted pregnancy, or you can end up with an STD or something that you just don't want to have to worry about at that age. And so I think it makes a lot of sense logically to teach someone like that without the like religious component of like this abstract person that you've never met, like kind of looking at you a different way and feeling a shame that I think is a little bit hard to understand at that age and at that maturity level. So that's how I'll go about it with my kids, is just like, hey, I know how you feel. You're a walking hormone right now. Like, your girls make you feel a certain way. That's not going to change, by the way.
Or boys.
And whether you're a girl or a boy, maybe it's both. But like, let's look at like actual constructive and healthy ways to handle that instead of abstaining, because for some people that can lead to them doing the opposite.
Did you do release time seminary in high school? And if so, tell people what that is.
I mean, it was release time, the one where, because in Rexburg, it's part of the curriculum.
Yeah. It's where you literally have
it's an
seminary
hour.
church instruction pretty much next door to your high school campus.
Exactly. That was exactly what it was.
So like you would pick an elective and it would be Mormon religion as a part of your high school curriculum, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it was, you had 5 hours, and it was one of those 5 hours was your seminary class. And
every day.
Every day. And it was 2/3 because we did trimesters. So 2/3 of your year was dedicated, 1 hour a day to that.
Do you have memories of Mormon seminary?
I rarely went. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that means were you kind of a slacker?
I knew that was one that was like, I could pass the needed requirements for that one without a whole lot of attendance. I didn't go a ton. I typically would structure it right before lunch or right after, double the lunch. That's kind of how I looked at that. But yeah, no, I do remember going. I mean, I went sometimes, and you learn about scripture mastery or singing songs about scriptures and going through whatever topics. I always found the topic of religion in high school extremely boring and uninteresting. So I was always, even on Sundays, I was like, oh, I don't really care. And that's why I think it wasn't until my mission that I even had any sort of idea. Like I probably couldn't have told you what the difference was between mainstream Christianity and the Latter-day Saints belief until like my mission.
Okay, so you're feeling all this guilt for, according to the bishop, breaking the law of chastity, but your actual faith or belief was what?
Surface level. It was it was like, yeah, it was based mostly in, being raised with parents that I think and I knew are good people, and they'd found a testimony and a belief in what they lived. And I figured I'd get to that point, but I was always kind of procrastinating, I guess, to be scriptural the day of my repentance. And I just wasn't interested. It just wasn't a topic that I remember being in the MTC and then being like, okay, turn to Timothy. And I'd be like, is that the small book or the big book? Like I didn't know. And so I was like, but I'd been a member my whole life. I didn't really have an excuse. So just was like mostly apathy around the actual topic of religion, but I kind of figured it was the right thing to do. So I think that's why it was on my mission, it kind of all came to a head, but yeah.
Okay.
That's so interesting that you didn't really care about it that much, but you cared enough to go to the bishop to repent. It's like it almost sounds like the fear and the shame was like more powerful than your actual belief or faith.
Yeah. And that's totally, that's what it was for me. And I feel like I wrestled a lot with guilt and shame through high school. I don't think I had a lot of really transformative spiritual experiences of like prayer or, because I didn't try, first of all, so that's kind of on me. But yeah, I would say that my relationship with the church through high school especially was mostly guilt ridden. Because I always had a proclivity to like talking to girls and hanging out with girls. And then, one thing leads to another. And all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, now I have to go talk to the bishop, and was a common recurring theme for me in my upbringing.
But it's also interesting because your dad was in a bishopric or eventually a bishop, and your mom was super devout, as you say. And so, I guess as a kid who grew up in Texas, Mormon, where my family was in disarray, we had this impression that Utah Mormons, and I would say Idaho Mormons by extension, like didn't take the church seriously, like those of us kind of in what we called the mission field.
Yeah.
And I always just wondered, what was that about? Like, why wouldn't everyone take everything seriously all the time and be really intense about it? So on the one hand, you did have a faithful Orthodox family.
Mm-hmm.
You're in one of the most Mormon places of all Mormondom.
Yep.
And yet it's not, you're feeling all the guilt and shame, which I think the church would say is the most important thing when you're a teenager, that you get marinated in that shame and guilt.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, it just wasn't really top of mind. Do you have a way to explain that?
Yeah, no, I think I do now, because I think I've done a lot of, I feel like the church for me always, and I think that this is true for anyone. I think that religion in general is something that people, it just like based on personality will have an attraction to, whether it's, and that maybe puts them in alignment, having a faith or a belief system. I think for me, I've actually, once I left religion, I realized like, oh my gosh, like I don't have a bone in my body that's like really interested in like devout worship to some, and not even Mormonism, just anything. And so I think that for me, it was just like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, and it was out of alignment for me. And as a kid,
yeah, so it's just how you were wired.
Like,
you weren't wired.
It's not really, it's not hatred. It's not, It's not that I don't like that my dad goes and I wish he was different. I don't want him to be different, but I personally just don't have the interest, because it's like if you try to show me, you know, I'm not a big tennis watcher. And if you sit me down and try to watch tennis for 12 hours, I'll be like, oh, this is kind of boring. Like I might do something
Although you're
else.
pretty good at pickleball.
I mean, not really though.
You
I watched. Macy beat us.
I
Me
did
and Mace-
watch.
Yeah,
I did watch.
Me and Mace actually got rocked in that. So Macy's way better. But yeah, I wasn't interested. And I think I that also was something that made me feel guilty, because I'm like, I should care about this and I should have a testimony and I should feel these feelings about a connection to someone, because through prayer you can achieve that. And I tried praying. I mean, I tried, and I just never felt it. So I think for me, it was genuinely just something that wasn't in alignment with who I am.
Love that. Thank you for that explanation. So what, really quick, before we go to your college/mission, what were you into in high school besides girls?
Yeah, for sure. Girls. I loved girls and sports. Loved sports. That was my whole, like all of high school. All I cared about was literally sports. And then, yeah.
Did you let her, like, were you varsity? And
you know, I played baseball and football my junior and senior year. Our football team was really good my senior year. You know, we had a bunch of good players too. It was not by any means just me. We had just a phenomenal team. I played safety, so
nice.
I was on defense.
So you're fast.
I mean, I fast back then, not anymore. But yeah, we were good. We won state my senior year, 5A.
Oh, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it was a big deal. Like our high school actually was never good. Like years up to that, it had been like 15 years since they were really good at basketball. But our team won. I loved my friends.
What's the high school again?
Madison.
And the mascot?
About Bobcats.
Madison, but shout out to Madison
Bobcats 2012. Yeah. But I had a great friend group. I loved my friends. Was always getting into, like, we found a way to make Rexburg entertaining, which is really impressive.
Yeah.
And
what did Mormon kids do for fun, or even naughtier Mormon kids do for fun in Rexburg?
You know what's funny is all my really good friends that I grew up with were actually not like me. They were like rule follower, like really good dudes. And so what we did, there's like a recreational, you can go bridge jumping, and there's like stuff to do outside, because Rexburg is, you know, 3 months out of the year it's not 20 degrees under. It's you got a lot of stuff. You're in the middle of nowhere, so
It's super cold, right?
It's super cold, and there's sand dunes close by. Those are fun. But most of the time we would just, my neighbor had a basketball court outside, and we would play like hours and hours and hours of 21 or 3-on-3, and like that is literally how we'd pass the summer, is playing sports. And yeah, and later on I'd go on date, I'd hang out with my girlfriend, but like that was it. Drive-in theaters and basketball games. That was basically my whole upbringing.
So movies, sports, and girls.
That's it. It's truly like, yeah.
Okay.
Kind of boring sounding, but I mean, I had a good time.
So being raised Mormon, what were you taught to think about your future post high school? Like if you were to say, if the bishop were to pull you aside, or your dad, son, tell us how your life's going to be, what was the plan for you?
I think the plan was obviously companionship. I think finding, your wife for me, eternal companion, and raising kids in the church. Like obviously, I always had a little bit of an aversion to like callings. I remember early on being like, I don't want to do that. Like I don't want to do anything extra than what I showing up, because I already feel like that's a little bit taxing. But I remember, yeah, my dad kind of telling me like the purpose of it all obviously is to, find your soulmate, your life partner, have children, raise them the same way, and then find fulfillment in what you do for a living. And I kind of just planned on that.
And mission
went to Madrid, Spain for 2 years.
Well, okay, wait. So right after high school, did you do mission first? Or?
So I was part of the group that was like the first 18-year-old group.
Okay.
Like where I actually was young for my grade. So I was planning on going to college for probably a year, and then 19 mission. And then when that announcement came out, it was in the fall of my senior year. So I remember I was like asleep. I think it was a Saturday morning announcement. And so I was not watching. My mom comes running into the room, and she's like crying. She's like, gotta watch this, and go out there, and it's Monson, right? I think it was Monson that announced it. And he was like, yeah, we can now go at 18. I remember being like, oh, now I can put my papers in like basically next month instead of having to wait a year. So that was a huge like, oh shit, I better start taking this seriously moment, because I wasn't.
What was it like to not really be into religion other than the guilt and shame stuff, and then to stare into the possibility of 2 years of telling everybody the church is true, and not only that, but that they need to join too?
Brutal.
What was that like? Was it?
It was brutal.
Why was it brutal?
It was, I mean, I kind of just continued to procrastinate any preparation for the mission until I left, which was Pioneer Day of 2013. And I had a girlfriend at the time that I was really into, and I remember being like, I don't really want to do this. Like, this is bad timing, but I'm going to because I need to. And I have younger siblings. My dad was always like, "You're the example," you know. And I felt like I was the example for a lot, so I felt kind of the pressure of doing that for, if not myself, at least my siblings. Which is ironic because now I'm like, I have a different perspective, obviously. But yeah, I remember on my mission in the MTC for the first time being like, okay, like I'm going to go tell Spaniards like that they're
Which
wrong.
mission again?
It was Madrid.
Madrid, Spain.
Mhm.
Okay.
Speaking Spanish.
Speaking Spanish. And had to, I was really bad at Spanish. Obviously I didn't really like take Spanish in high school. So starting from ground zero there, and then also was grappling with the fact that I didn't really feel like I knew my religion. So it was a lot. And I think that like the only reason I got through my mission is because I think that I do well in social scenarios and I can make friends with anyone. And I really did make friends with a lot of people on my mission. And I got through it. But I remember for most of my mission feeling like, I don't know why I don't feel qualified to really tell this person who's 80 years old and been Catholic his whole life that he's actually wrong. And it's my country is actually the chosen one. And he, because his has been around for, there's castles here, and it's like we go over there and it's, and where I'm from, especially
stucco buildings.
Yeah, it's stucco buildings in BYU, Idaho. Like it's not exactly out of a movie. So I struggled with that, and my whole mission, and that's why about a year in, I met up with the Jehovah's Witness, and that's the first time that I was like, oh shit, like this might actually be a little bit. This might not be it.
What happened?
So most of my mission was street contacting. We were just, which is very, long days, but I also liked it because we were outside, and we never really got a ton of it. If you could get 3 or 4 people to give you their number a day, that was a great day. And this person was very interested. I'd love to learn more about God. I've been looking, and the whole time you're on a mission, you're praying for like that to happen. So we were just stoked and wanted to meet the next day. We end up going to meet up with him, and it turns out it's a Jehovah's Witness masquerading as a interested, investigator. And I remember this person had like a stack of papers printed out, 2 of them. And it was basically, at the time when I looked at it, was anti-Mormon literature, talking about Joseph Smith and some claims about, him prior to the first vision and all that stuff. And it's the first time I'd ever heard any of it. And I remember looking at it and just kind of reading it. My companion is talking more than me. And I'm being like, there's no way this is real. Like this is, and then him being like, yeah, no, it's true. You guys like take it home. It's all whatever you want to do. And we got out of there pretty quick, but I took it with me. My companion didn't. And I was like, I want to read it. And then throughout various companionship studies over the next 2-3 months, I was going through it and being like, holy cow, like this is hard. Like, I don't know. And I remember kind of struggling because I'd been out for a year. I wasn't going to come home. Because actually at this point I was having a fine time and I spoke the language decently. So just kind of being like, okay, I'm going to kind of tuck this away, but I'd like to actually look at this when I have time to do it and I'm not teaching all day. But yeah, it really, really affected me. And I actually feel like later on my mission, my last area, there was a man who I still talk to, the only guy I still talk to for my mission, who's like, he's 89. His name's Carlos. And we met him because we were proselyting at night. We ran into this old guy, very like old guy who's kind of laboring to his car. We stop him and we're like, hey, where are you headed? He's like, I'm taking my wife, dinner or something, she was basically immobilized at that point, very sick. And she was the love of his life. Anyways, long story short, we brought her flowers, I think the next week, 'cause it was Mother's Day or something. And it changed his whole, he was sobbing. He was so grateful. We ended up teaching him for about 3 months every Tuesday. And he loves when we go over because he's old and his poor wife is no longer able to talk, and he doesn't really have a companion anymore. So, but I remember we gave him the Book of Mormon, we challenged him to read it. And then when it comes time to actually formally invite him to be baptized, he told us like, hey, like, I love this. I love you guys. I really appreciate your offer. But I made a promise to Lily, which was his wife, at the time that we got married, that I would always be true to her and I'd be true to the Catholic Church. And he's like, I'm not gonna change that. And I remember like my human visceral reaction to that, like take off the missionary badge, was like, hell yeah. Like that's exactly what you should do. And I remember my companion being like, he was a young kid. I was training him actually, I think. And he was like, well, he kind of goes into like the whole testimony thing. And I was just like, oh, dude, I don't feel strongly about him going into Mormonism, like with that being his origin story. And for the rest of the time I taught him, because then the kid that I was training gets transferred out, and I have another person there with me, and I'm like, no, this is Carlos. We're not going to baptize him, but we're going to hang out with him every Tuesday because he's one of the best dudes I've ever met. We can teach him a lesson, but mostly like I'm not going to make this guy get baptized, nor do I want him to. We invite him to church and stuff because I know that he liked community and he wanted more of that. But I still talk to him today. And I'm like, one of the best things I ever did on my mission was not baptize that guy.
I love that story.
Yeah, me too.
That's a great
I guess
story.
it wouldn't have been true to him, and I didn't feel like it felt true to me. So that was when I was like, oh yeah, I don't actually think this is right for everybody. And that was kind of what started my, I think, deconstruction.
Really? That was part of the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember I served in Guatemala in the late 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if somebody said to you, sorry, I love my faith, you would say, well, you're mistaken.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You don't have all the truth.
Or they'd say, well, I felt the same Holy Ghost that you have. It's just, it told me that my faith was true. And then a Mormon missionary would say, well, Satan can deceive people and can counterfeit the Holy Ghost. And it's a gross, horrible thing.
It's really when you peel it back. And
especially when you're like 18 or 19, you know almost nothing.
Yeah.
Right? About life.
Yep.
So that's cool. That's cool that you were so dialed in to respecting people's paths. Growing up in Rexburg at such a young age, I didn't figure that out until years later.
Well, it's nice that you say that. I think that just having such a love for this guy, it really quickly clicked with Carlos, and that's why I still talk to him. And just knowing, like, dude, if I really quickly remember that night, I think I laid there thinking, like, if Carlos doesn't get baptized, and our Jesus, God doesn't allow him into whatever the highest degree of whatever you believe, like, I'm out. Like, I don't really want to be a part of that, because he loves his wife and he loves a commitment he made to her 55 years ago. And I think that's so much, like, I can't sit here and tell you that I think that's wrong. And so that did start it. It kind of started it. And then, yeah, my whole thing, after that just became very individual, which is like, I do think that people that like the church, like my dad, I think in some ways it serves him, and I'll never speak for him, and I just don't know him on a level that I know myself, and I don't really want to. I think he's the master of himself, like they say, and so I realized really quickly, like, what's right for me, and that's when it started to unravel for me, and realized, like, I don't think this is a plan for everyone. It can be a plan for you, like, I'll trust your opinion, but, like, don't tell me what my plan is for me. And then that made it hard for me to want to tell people that what the plan was for them, obviously. So yeah, I think by nature, the mission, I kind of put blinders on and got through the rest of it. But after that, I realized really quickly, like, and now I hear missionary stories, and you've probably done this, where I was at a buddy's missionary welcome home, and he was telling a story about how they knocked on this old lady's door, and she's, no, I'm not interested. Come to find out, they knock on her door like a month later. Her husband's passed away. She's tragically sad. And she's just really, really, really downtrodden and just looking for answers. And they're like, well, you want to see him again? Take the lessons. And so she succumbs to their invitation and ultimately gets baptized. And like they teach that. You can look through that story through two lenses. One of them's like, what an amazing conquering of the missionaries who continued to go back and were persistent. And the other one's like, that's kind of sad that you kind of preyed on a lady who I think was really, really emotionally vulnerable, just completely down. Yeah. And now she's buying into something that I don't think she needs to, because she probably could have found that in another way. But again, it's what lens you choose to look through it. And I've seen that a few times now where I'm like, dude, I don't love, like, if agency is such a big thing, like, why are you shoving it down, and knocking on her door? And I understand the whole, I understand the other side of it, but I've heard those stories now, and it's a little bit less palatable for me, because I'm like, man, you said, it says in the handbook or Preach My Gospel, like, look for people who are new to an area, who have suffered a loss. And I'm like, that sounds really nice when you're a missionary. That's actually like manipulation 101.
That's a little predatory.
It's super predatory.
Find the poor people who are
sad,
immigrants,
the poor,
uneducated,
the lonely, and that's who you teach your message to, and ultimately will get them to sign up for the membership.
I mean, you could also argue, and I think it's also true, there could be multiple things true in parallel that even conflict. But sometimes if someone has no education, or they're poor, or they don't speak the language, or joining the Mormon church can be really good to help lift them up.
Totally.
So it can be predatory. It can also be life-saving.
Exactly.
It both can be true.
I love that you say that, because there is that side of it where I think that I remember actually baptizing people who were, I was in the Canary Islands for 6 months, and some Ghanaian people who didn't speak English or didn't speak Spanish at all and spoke English in a kind of a different way than I do. And I remember them getting introduced to the church was awesome, because there was other Ghanaian members, and all of a sudden they have friends. And so it's like, you know what? I hope that guy's not paying tithing because he needs the money, but I also think it's cool that he has friends, and like, I'm happy to be the person that assisted in that. So I don't think it's all super negative either. I like that you said that, because there's two ways to look at it.
Yeah. Really quickly, I'm curious, were you like an obedient missionary? Were the rules hard? Like, the rules are pretty intense, although were you able to call home weekly? Because
I was not. Ours was twice a year.
Twice a year.
Yep.
So only P days, when you one day a week for most of the day you can do personal things, but the rest it's just all service.
I think I was really obedient. And then the last 6 months were kind of when I had this like, oh, I don't actually think letter of the law is something that I really operate off of. And I was still like, we would work the whole hours, like do everything the right way, but I was way less. I took a lot of pressure off me and my companion to like, I remember sometimes, our mission had a big push for lessons in the street. And then people were like literally like haggling someone to just stop. Let's share a principle with you. What's your name? My name's Elder this, Elder that. We're going to teach you about faith. Can you read this? Okay, we're going to say a prayer. I remember like that was the weirdest interaction for anyone that ever experienced it, because we're just two guys in a white shirt, like literally jamming a 30-second thing down their throat so that we can tell president we got a lesson taught. And I remember being like, I'm out on that. Like, we're not, if they don't want to sit down with us, like we're not teaching a lesson. I'd rather teach 0 at the end of the day than like fake 4 of those and make people think that we're weird. In retrospect, probably should have just made them think that we're weird so they don't later on succumb to that stuff. But I took a lot of pressure off, because I kind of slowly started realizing like, I don't think I'm all in. I'm not drinking all the Kool-Aid. I'll drink enough to get through this. And I still believe it, but I'm like, I'm out on some of the rigid rules that feel performative.
But you weren't like a party missionary.
No.
Or a super disobedient missionary.
Not at all. I was too scared. I was like literally too scared to do that, because I thought like I will, like condemnation. Like I didn't want to mess with any of that.
Okay. Samantha, I'm checking in. I'm curious if hearing Chase's Mormon story up through his mission is different than you would have guessed based on, let's say, his persona, or what you've seen just on Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I know I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but does this track with what you would have guessed, or is this quite different from what you would have guessed seeing the show?
I think it's probably about what I would have guessed.
Okay.
It sounds like you had like a kind of healthy ability to keep yourself separate from it, even on the mission, which is interesting to me, like discovering all that stuff from the Jehovah's Witness. It's like sounds like it threw you off a bit, but it didn't like completely wreck you the way that it would with a lot of, less healthy people, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel like I knew that I finishing my mission was important, because I was like, I'm here. And but I also did the same thing. Like, I always think that I looked at things a little bit differently than the way that my parents do, which is not, I don't want to say blind obedience, but like definitely not questioned obedience. And I think it's part of their generation, because they didn't have one of these. And I think that I always had access to more information than them. And so I always kind of knew I've always been someone that if I have an opinion on something, which I do on most things, but it's generally going to be something that I can also substantiate. And so that's why early in my mission, I actually really got into like the arguments. Like I loved the way that people would argue scripture,
like scripture bashing or whatever.
Scripture bashing. I was like, I kind of want to be the best at that. But then I realized really quickly that like, that's a circle. Like you can be the best scripture basher, and it doesn't ever, first of all, you never teach anyone anything. You never change anyone's opinion through doing that.
Yeah.
It's like politically too. Like you're not going to change someone's opinion politically by whatever you think is going to change their opinion. It has to be cordial, and it has to be real, and it has to actually also have like interest on the other side to change their mind. Otherwise it doesn't go anywhere. So it's not productive. And I feel like I actually do like productive conversation. So yeah, I feel like I was able to handle maybe the little bit of a shaking of the testimony. It was also kind of a relief for me, to be honest, because that made me feel like, okay, maybe I'm not like going to burn in hell for never figuring out like how to completely abstain from XYZ with girls. And because I remember like having like very vivid, actually, ironically enough, at the beginning of each new year in high school, I remember I'd be like, man, another year and I'm still kind of struggling with what I was last year. Like, this sucks. Worthiness.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, that's a brutal, like I don't think my friends struggle like I do. I don't think my parents know I struggle like that. Like,
and of course
your
friends were struggling too.
100%. 100%. And like, I didn't want to talk about it because you don't want to, it's shameful. So yeah, I'm glad that you said that.
Yeah, that's a weird mind trick Mormonism can play on people. They make everyone feel like they're the only one who's a terrible person when everybody's feeling bad about something that everyone's doing, but no one's admitting or talking about to anyone else.
Yeah, you feel secluded. You feel very isolated. And it's funny because my brother, who's younger than me by 5.5 years, I think we have personality similarities. Is like we talk later on in life and we're like, oh, damn, you thought that too? Like, that's how you felt? Like, same.
And your brothers, and you didn't feel comfortable talking about it.
Well, and he was just a pretty big age gap. Like, I got back from my mission and he was 15. Yeah. So like through high school, he was just so little. And now, so it was later on college, like college for him. And actually after my divorce, we got to be roommates for like 1.5 years, which was really fun. But it was funny because we're like, oh, we had very similar struggles and we kept it to ourselves.
Yeah.
Out of fear and out of shame. So yeah.
So what year did you get back from your mission?
2015.
Okay. And Samantha, I think I met you in 2014. Is that right? That's what I remember.
It was probably 2016.
No. Because I was.
Well, I got married in 2015.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah. I knew.
So it would have been maybe 2015 then.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So were you at BYU Idaho at the same time Chase was?
2010 to 2014.
Ooh, so I would have been like winter semester 2015.
Okay.
But you would have been there when he was living there.
Yeah, because I lived there all the way.
Yeah.
2013 is when I left my mission. So just we were in Rexburg.
Fun.
Okay, brutal. So 2015 is when you get off your mission. Mm-hmm. And would you say you left your mission still being a believer of sorts?
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I had my doubts, had my cracks in the foundation or the shelf, but no, I did believe it. Came home. My first date was Miranda. Like,
what? Okay, tell us how you met Miranda.
So funny story. My aunt used to send me updates. We were really close with my cousins in Rexburg. They also live there and they have 8 kids that are around the same age as us. She'd send me an email every Sunday with a breakdown of basically everyone's week. And I loved it because like in your mission, you don't get a ton of emails. And one of them she sent my cousin Mitchell, who was Miranda's age, 2 years younger than me, was going on a date, like a homecoming or something with a girl named Miranda. And I remember being like, who is that? She is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And so I remember being like, that was the first, like, I don't know who that is, but she's really pretty. And I got home and I think she followed me or I followed her. It was actually a really funny story where I didn't understand Instagram at that point. It's been 2 years. Before I left, you couldn't DM anyone. And so I remember Miranda likes a photo or I like a photo. She does back and forth. I'm finally like, I'm going to DM her. I go to DM her and I realize like it says take a picture or type. And I thought it was like Snapchat then because I'd had Snapchat. So I take a picture of me, like one shot. I'm like laying in bed. It's the worst picture. And I sent it to Miranda. I'm like, I don't remember what I said. And then she just types a message back. And I was like, shit, like I didn't know you could do that. I thought you had to send a picture. But yeah, we go on a date.
How old was she? Was she in school?
Right out of high school. Like she was 18.
Was she from Rexburg too?
She's from Rigby.
Yeah. This is Idaho, urban Idaho.
Which is where my mom's
rural,
from. Like
my
mom's
Idaho.
from Rigby. Yeah. Okay. So like
Potatoville, right?
It's Potatoville, dude. Like it's really southeastern Idaho is it's potato land. And we hit it off like really quickly, really liked Miranda. Obviously thought she was stunning, but also just really a cool person.
Can I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but for me, she might come off as of season 4. She might come off the best to me of all the Secret Lives.
I feel like she's always come off the best.
She literally, and I'm so glad you said that because she is 100%. She is.
She's
the
smart.
best.
She seems grounded. She seems wise, empathetic.
She is.
Do you feel that way, Samantha?
I've always thought she was the best one from
she's
the
an
moment
emotional,
she came on the show.
Emotional intelligence. I've never met anyone like Miranda who's.
She joined season 2, right?
She did season 2, and a lot of people didn't like her because they all thought like Taylor, Franke, Paul has a ton of fans. The way that like Miranda left that scenario, people didn't really understand Miranda's side. So a lot of people thought she was fake. And then people see Miranda for who she is. And it's really cool for me because obviously I've known her really well. And I think that she deserves like the best because she is the best. But like, that's how she always was. She was always and she came from a very Orthodox upbringing as well.
So she was super in it to win it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the nice thing about Miranda though, she didn't do a mission or anything, but she had her beliefs, and she still maintains her core Christian values. But like, yeah, I actually left the church about a year before she decided to. That was a friction point with her family.
We'll get there.
Yeah. But no, she was such a cool person. I think that we kind of aligned on like, we believe this, but like also we're not like so orthodox, and that we clicked on that. And then yeah, we started dating, got married about a year and a half later.
So she was 18 when you met her?
I was 20 and she was 18. Yeah.
And you were right off your mission. She's the first person you dated off your mission.
First one.
And did you only date her pretty much?
She was going to Weber State that winter.
So that's in Ogden, Utah.
That's in Ogden.
For those who don't know.
Yep. And I was going to BYUI. So we were going to be like 2.5 hours apart.
Okay.
And
why was she going to Weber?
She wanted to be like, she wanted to go into, I'm going to forget now.
There's some program. Weber State.
That was down at Weber State. She had a friend going down there. So,
okay.
Yeah, she wanted to get out of southeastern Idaho and go
What if it was nursing?
It was,
it doesn't matter.
I'm going to remember after this, but yeah, okay. She goes down there. I'm at BYUI. I kind of wanted to date around too, because I hadn't, but it's funny because whenever she would come home, like for Christmas, we'd hang out. And then I end up going to Utah State. So now we're only 30 minutes apart. Go Aggies. And we started hanging out, kind of reconnected it down there.
That's like an hour drive from Weber State?
Less, like 45. Yeah, you got through the canyon. But we kind of reconnected and then started dating and got married like 8 months after that.
And did you feel like you got to date enough other people to feel like you chose someone who's a good fit?
No, I don't think I felt like I dated enough, but I also knew that Miranda, like I always knew that Miranda was like one of one. And so I didn't want to like lose Miranda either, but we did kind of do a fair amount of off and on because she was like, hey, are we doing this or not? And she looks back now and she's like, why did we put any pressure on getting married? We should have just like been a little bit more, maybe moved in together, kind of see how we like it. But again, we were pretty orthodox.
That's the least Mormon thing ever to do.
Yeah.
No, the most Mormon thing to do is get married within 6 months.
Exactly.
How long did you know do I say his name or do
I'd rather not say.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
How long did y'all know each other?
Not long enough.
Okay, yeah.
I'm getting like 2 months vibes out of that one. That's fast.
Margie and I
You're not wrong.
We're 10 months from meeting to marriage. 10 months, yeah. And that's long.
That's long. Yeah, that's long, you're way into it.
Okay, so y'all went a year and a half.
Well, I say that like no, because I got home from my mission in early July of 2015. I got married in May of 2017, but I only knew I think that me and Ryan only dated for probably about a little over a year of that. So probably about a year and a half. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
So by Mormon standards, y'all knew each other quite well.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, I guess you're right.
But looking back, you don't feel like you necessarily did. We
got married too young. And she would tell you the same thing.
So when you got married, you were how old?
I was 20. I had just turned 22.
Okay. And she was
20.
Okay. And you mentioned that part of what attracted you to her was that you weren't like, my words, ultra orthodox.
Yeah.
That you were kind of a little more chill.
I felt like
still believing, but chill about the church. Totally. Is that right?
Exactly that.
So what were the ways that manifest? Like drinking caffeine?
No, I mean, I knew that Miranda kind of had a little bit, like she went to Weber and I think that she kind of, that's when she kind of drank alcohol for the first time. And I knew that.
Okay.
And I didn't, by the way.
Did she do that feeling guilt and shame or like didn't really believe?
Miranda always operated on a way better scale with guilt and shame than me.
Oh, I want to hear how a Rigby girl ends up not feeling terrible. Like I still haven't tried beer. Like how in the world? Yeah, I've never tried alcohol. Like how does a Mormon girl raised in Rigby go to college and drink alcohol and not feel like she's the worst person ever?
I think that Miranda's mom and dad did a good job. Mom, for sure. Her mom is awesome. I really like Miranda's mom a lot. I think that she does a really good job of still instilling like the Mormon values, but also like she did a really good job of instilling a lot of, because there's 4 daughters, no sons in that family. So 4 daughters. And I think, Miranda always felt like she was the kind of the captain of her own ship.
Interesting.
And I think I was attracted to that too. Like I was like, okay, so you've kind of done some of the things that I feel guilt and shame for, and even some things that I haven't done, and I would for sure feel guilt and shame for. But you seem to kind of still have a good relationship with self. And she was always like, yeah, like I don't necessarily feel that bad about that. Like I was like, that's so cool. Like I really wish I could do that. But
interesting.
Yeah.
And what would she have? And I know maybe we should have her on if she ever wants to come on. But I wonder how she would have described her Mormon faith at the time she was not living all the standards, as we call it.
I think what I attribute it to, and I've talked to her about this, is I think that having not gone on a mission, I know that Miranda definitely felt like, she's like, I know what we believe, but like, I don't really know. Like, I always go to the Jeffrey R. Holland talk where he's like, it's either true or it's not. That was another big thing for me where I was like, really? Like, okay, challenge accepted. And I don't think she ever got to that point where she's just like, I kind of look at it as a great way to live. And it's kind of what everyone around here does. So like, why not? But like, it's not, it's really, really, really mature perspective.
Does that blow your mind, Samantha, to hear that about?
No, I don't think so.
I think she was ahead of her time because I think a lot of people now live that way.
Yeah.
Well, you were, Samantha, you weren't a Mormon that way when I knew you.
No, I was very Orthodox.
Yeah, so was I.
Yeah.
But why doesn't that surprise you?
Just because there's a spectrum always, you know?
Okay.
And I think that Miranda, I'm like you guys, where I was like, I'm either all in on this or I might be all the way out. And I did kind of go all the way out, overcorrected. But Miranda's always had just, again, like a very good sense of who she is, what she wants, who she, like, I'm very, very, even now and today, Miranda's helped me with a lot of perspectives and paradigm shifts because she's very into, like, I guess people would say wooey stuff. And I think that there's a lot of credence to some of that. And it's helped me actually as well. But she's always operated on a very healthy, emotional level that I think that I just haven't.
Did she hide that stuff from her parents?
I do actually think that a lot of it comes from her mom.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because her dad, I think, actually is a lot more like us, where it's a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, a lot of kind of black and white. And he's a great dude. But I think that her mom is someone who is also still LDS, but she's also seems pretty nuanced. And it seems like she kind of takes things that she likes and maybe dismisses the things she doesn't. So, yeah.
So you don't have to answer this, but like one huge reason Mormons get married so quickly is because they're not supposed to have sex before they get married. Were y'all more flexible that way? Or?
I mean, kind of, yeah. I think we did, I think we were a little more cooler with like doubles and triples, like to go baseball terminology. But like, before we got married, we did go to a bishop in Orem actually, because we like we're like, we probably should talk about it. And he was a really cool dude. Like more, I guess in Mormon terms, you'd say he was a cool bishop because he wasn't like, you guys are, he did make us wait, but not super long, and he was super encouraging. So we did go to the bishop about moral issues that had happened because of the law of chastity. Like we tried to follow the rules, and when we didn't, we, felt like we had to answer for it.
Okay.
And you had a temple wedding?
We did, Rexburg Temple.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and in your mind, were you both enough believers to believe you were going to get married for time and all eternity and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think at the time, I remember we had a really cool temple like experience, because I know the sealer was like a ward friend, and he said something about my grandpa who had just passed. And I remember just being like, that's like really cool, like really personal. And so, yeah, like I feel like for the most part, like good experience.
A lot of the people we've interviewed have described their Mormon temple experience as a bit culty. Did either of you feel that way when you first went through?
Yeah, I remember I went through with Miranda for the first time, and I had gone
for her first time.
Because I went on my mission. I had my endowments out, so I went with her when she got hers. And I remember just being like, because you know how everyone kind of, they've been through it when they're going with someone who's going for the first time. Everyone kind of puts up these like, hey, just so you know, which I think is crazy because you shouldn't have to do that. But I remember watching her and her being like, this is weird. And then afterwards, I always told Miranda this is like one of the first combos we had. And in retrospect, it's kind of funny because I always thought, I'm like, the celestial room's cool. I don't love the decorating. I think it's kind of gaudy, but I'm like, I think all they do to make it really feel nice is first couple kingdoms, they're going to like put it like 83 degrees. And then as soon as you get celestial, they'll go to like 68. And like, you're just like, oh, like, that's a great, I always feel like I walk in there and the AC's on. I'm like, this is my favorite part is the AC. And I guess the chandelier maybe.
Interesting.
Yeah, celestial room's definitely the best part.
It's
you
cool.
can just chill a little bit.
It's just cooler though.
You
like
don't have to move anything around.
Yeah. You get less stuffy. I feel like that was like 90% of it personally.
Okay. So you remember your wedding day, your temple marriage wedding day as being a good experience?
I do. I remember like Miranda was the one actually that got a little bit of cold feet. And I think that was probably an indicator for her. I was like, no, let's do it. And she was kind of like, I'm super stressed today. I was like, oh. But yeah, I remember it was a pretty good experience. I mean, it was your standard Idaho Mormon wedding. I mean, we went to like a the whole thing was pretty standard, but it was also like, it felt right. I thought it was cool. You know, looking back, like that's not how I'd want to get married ever again. Obviously it's not very individual. It's not like Miranda got to pick out her, like, you know, she's wearing her garments and she hates them. And she wants to like wear a dress that Miranda's beautiful, like objectively, like one of the prettiest people ever. And she wants to wear a dress that reflects that. And she felt like that maybe wasn't all the way true with her having to abide by garment standards. So I think that's kind of a disappointment and a bummer that you have to like make something that's, garments are now a part of your life for 3 weeks. And now you have to abide by those standards all of a sudden. I think that's kind of weird. But I think that like for the most part, we had a good experience.
Yeah. Okay. So how did your Mormon experience go after getting married in the temple?
You know, it was good. We really quickly, like, I don't think we went to church a ton. Like we moved a lot because I did summer sales. I was like the token.
Where'd you go?
We went to Denver.
Was it alarms or
alarms?
Pest control?
Yeah, well, I did pest once. I did pest once when we were dating, but it was alarms. We went to Denver, San Antonio, Houston. So we were in Texas.
That's such a Mormon thing these days.
Totally.
Yeah. And she went with you. That's not normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? For the spouse to go with the
she went with me like all 3 or 4 summers that I went out. And yeah, like I think we didn't ever really go to church out there because it's like Sunday's your one day off. Like, why go to church? We'd hang out and do kind of what we wanted. And then when we came back, like,
okay, wait, can I call you on that?
Yeah.
Not call you on it, but like, totally. Again, I'm married to Margie.
Mm-hmm.
We're not missing church. Like, so I want to slow down and say, how does that, I know that we're not the only type of Mormon out there.
Yes.
But in my mind, that's what it means to be Mormon. You always go to church every Sunday.
Yeah.
Like, especially after you're temple married and you make these covenants in the temple of consecration and tithing and obedience, like that, for so many Mormons, that freaks you out into like hyper devotion, especially because, you know, the kids are going to be coming soon.
Yeah.
And you want to like lay down those righteous tracks so the kids can have that upbringing. And
totally.
Samantha, that was also you when you got married, at least at first, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask, did you just, because it sounded like you both did believe it ultimately, but did you just think God was chill?
I think that we were okay with a little bit of cognitive dissonance. I think that we were kind of like, well, we are pretty tired. Like, I have worked Monday through Saturday. Like, I would like to hang out with you.
Is it a brutal summer sales?
Yeah, I mean, it's like literally Monday through Saturday, you're working most of the day and you come home at like 9 p.m. And so I think we kind of justified it.
And what was she doing while you were doing summer sales?
You know, she was either, I wanted it. By the way, I felt like one of my favorite things about summer sales was I had no money, but I loved that Miranda at the very least we'd stay at like a pretty nice apartment complex, like with a pool. And there's other wives there that she was friends with. And so like, I liked that, like, me going out in summer sales meant that Miranda could kind of hang out and like chill by the pool or go on a walk with the dog. We had a dog for a while. I loved that because you want to feel like you're providing. And I didn't have a lot of money yet. That's the whole reason we were out there. But I liked that. And so she would hang out. I think that for her, I remember we watched a lot of shows together, like in the morning, because I wouldn't go out till like noon. And we went through Breaking Bad. Like we had like things that we would do together that I really liked. And then I go work, come home, we'd have dinner. And like, I kind of liked the schedule. Obviously wanted to get out of sales, or summer sales. But yeah, like we kind of found our groove. And a church we went to a couple times because we had friends that were very LDS and some of my friends from high school, and they would go every Sunday. And so sometimes we'd be like, all right, we should go to church. It's been a few weeks. We'd go, but I remember like never really feeling too bad about missing. And I think that's because, again, Miranda and I kind of aligned on this. Like, I do believe this. I don't know if I'm all the way in on it, but like I'm in on most of it. And then for me, that unraveled.
Yeah, because I mean, for you, it was never really synchronous with your worldview.
No, it never was.
Yeah. Yeah. So some call that Mormon-ish. You were Mormon-ish.
I think that's how I describe myself. I was Mormon-ish in a land of extremely Orthodox Mormons. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So how many years did you do summer sales? And did either of you ever go back to school and finish school?
I didn't go back to school and finish school to the chagrin of my parents. I did 5 years summer sales. And so it was a pretty good amount of time. And then actually I met Taylor's ex-husband, Tate. He was working at a SaaS company and kind of introduced me and got me an
software
interview.
as a service.
Yep. Software as a service, medical software. and he got me an interview, and I interviewed and got the job and started working basically ground level at a software as a service with Taylor's ex-husband.
Where'd you meet him?
We met up, like Miranda and Taylor did a photo shoot in somewhere, and they kind of clicked, and they were both like, oh, we're married, like our husbands might get along. And then we went to Olive Garden and met him. That was our first time we ever hung out.
What city was this?
Riverton.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had moved to Riverton by that point?
At this point, we lived in Idaho still. We
Okay.
hadn't made the move to Utah, but we were trying to.
And did you go 5 years without kids?
No, the last summer of summer sales, Miranda, it might have been 4 years, but Miranda was pregnant with our first the last year. And that's kind of what was like expediting my intrigue in finding something that wasn't displacing us every 9 months.
So that is a bit of a long time to wait to have kids by Mormon standards, 4 or 5 years. Right?
Yeah.
What did you talk about? Was that just another thing you felt comfortable?
Yeah, I think that, I don't think that there was a huge rush ever. Actually, the first time even getting pregnant with our first, Miranda was kind of like, Miranda was she's the youngest of 4. She has a sister that, has no problem getting pregnant. I think she had one that had a little bit of a fertility journey. So she's like, we might as well start trying. And I'm swear to God, it was the first time we even tried. She got pregnant, and that remained true for our second kid too. We were like, so she got pregnant. We were excited, but she was like, I don't want to move every summer when we have a kid. And that's kind of what got me into looking, and ultimately what led me to Tate and Taylor.
What were your impressions of Taylor when you first met her?
Immediately thought she was so cool, like really, really funny, really charismatic. Tate, her husband, was like funny dude. Like he did really well in sales, I could tell. And I was attracted to the fact that they both seemed like they, pretty happy, but also just like the thing with Miranda, they seemed like they were Mormon. Well, they're like, yeah, we sometimes go. And I was like, oh, I kind of fuck with that. And I like that outlook because I myself don't love going.
So, okay. So by the time you meet Taylor and
Tate,
what year is that? Approximately 2000, 2020,
2018.
2018.
Yeah.
Okay. And what cohort generation are you Gen Z? What do you call yourself? Millennial.
Yep.
Tail end of millennial?
I'm like very end of millennial. I think by like a year.
97 is
Gen
Z.
took 2 years. Yep.
97.
So Miranda's technically
okay.
the last millennial.
Okay. Okay. So you're still like late millennial. I wonder how common it is for that cohort to view Mormonism more casually, even the ones raised in Utah and Idaho.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder how typical you and Miranda were, because you're now saying that Taylor and her husband were also just more chill and relaxed.
Yeah.
I wonder how common that is for kind of late millennials.
I think late millennials do take on a lot of the like Gen Z of like kind of questioning anything. And we for sure were like that. And I think it validated us when we met people that were like that as well. Because Tate and Taylor are actually older than us. They're like 93, 92, but same exact outlook. And I think I'd argue they were actually even more chill by Mormon standards than we were. And I think that was something that was attractive because we were just like, oh, I don't want to feel my friends in summer sales. Like they kind of give me the side eye after a month of not attending church. And these guys are like, I don't think I've gone to church in 6 months, but I'm Mormon. And I'm like, yeah.
Interesting.
Like yeah.
Samantha, my first interview with you and Tanner, if I remember right, was called Losing Mormon Millennials, right? And it was y'all had stopped believing by that point. You had started Up on the Shelf, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were noticing at the time that the church was starting to hemorrhage millennials, right?
Yeah.
Were you noticing that in your cohort?
Yeah, I went to BYU Idaho, so people were quite orthodox a lot, but there also, even there were a lot of members more like that were just more chill, did it a bit more buffet style.
I wonder if there's anything about, if y'all would even know, like if you're a fish, you're swimming in water, you don't even know the water. Like, I wonder if the cultural milieu that both of you were marinating in contributed to a bit more of a casual approach to Mormonism than, say, the 80s milieu that I was marinating in as a Mormon.
I would argue it would, because I do think that from an early age, having been surrounded by a very, very, very like high amount of LDS members, I always was aware that there was varying levels of belief. Like I had friends that were like, I'm Mormon, and I'm like, you don't follow any rules. Like that's a little far, And then I had some that were just like, you're Like they wear their church clothes all day on Sunday, which I was like, I mean, where does it say that? And so I think that I was always around varying levels of it. And I have cousins too. Like my dad's family, he's got 7 siblings and some of them are members, some of them aren't. Some of them are like really, really into it. Some of them are like a little bit more casual. So I think that for me, I saw that pretty early and it obviously was like, I'm going to take the more casual approach because that seems to be more in alignment. And so I think it would be something like that. Like whereas if you grow up in like California and you're like one of 10 students in your school, it's kind of like, well, we're all kind of the same because this is our community. It's very small. I don't want to misrepresent it by being like a casual member. Whereas I had the ability to misrepresent it, I guess per se, but I could just fit myself into a different grouping of Mormonism.
Do you have a thought on that? Just the kind of the cultural environment being different?
Well, I do feel like the internet is a big deal because, I mean, I was like on Twitter the whole time I was at BYU Idaho, for example. And just, I mean, I remember when I was doing Millennial Mormons, we were both Orthodox members, but if we would even do like a satire article that was like not making fun of church leaders, but was like just funny, there were people that would feel like we were being like sacrilegious.
But you felt inclined to maybe do some parody or satire, and that's something that maybe previous generations wouldn't have felt
like
empowered to
I
do.
felt like a very Orthodox like I really was stalwart, but then the generation above, like they didn't really appreciate any kind of sort of humor or personality being added to it. It was like, just don't even go there. Don't even like make satire about the church, even though it was like not anti-church.
Yeah. I mean, because I knew super Orthodox Mormons and, Jack Mormons growing up in the 80s. So I guess the big differences I think about in the 20 teens is that by 2015, the CES letter comes out.
Yeah.
Throughout the 2000s and 2010s, Mormon podcasts start emerging.
Yeah.
And the internet just makes information more accessible.
Yep.
So I wonder if do you think that, I don't want to put that into your story.
No, I do. I do think that's that I really think contributed. I remember I had at my disposal, the first time I remember, like after my mission, I kind of looked up the CES letter. I remember that one was a little bit, I wasn't quite ready to digest it. So I kind of just read a little bit, stopped. The letter to my wife was actually way more pivotal for me.
Tell people what that is.
That one's just another, it's like a CES. It's kind of like that, but it's basically a husband who tried to he's like, my wife is having a faith crisis. I'm going to go through all of her questions and basically cite sources and prove to her the church is true, essentially. And then in doing so, loses his own testimony because he's like, oh my gosh, like there's a lot of credence to these arguments. And
he tried to write it a tone that would be more acceptable to believers. Very palatable. Because Jeremy maybe had been a little more sharp-elbowed.
Yep. And he was very, very, and that's why it was more digestible for me. And I read it and was like, oh my goodness, this guy's trying to convince his wife, and in doing so, it's like, that's actually, I think that when someone can go into an argument and then come away with it and being like, I actually think I'm wrong, I think that's hugely emotionally mature. And also like it's real because we all want to be right, but like we're all by nature never going to always be right. And I loved that about that because I was like, that is so cool that like he published, like this is something that I can read. Because if you lose an argument, you typically want to like not talk about it, or you don't want it to be a subject of a lot of focus. And he was like, no, on the contrary, this is what helped. And I felt like that really resonated. But again, my parents didn't have access to that, in their growing up. And I'm sure you can just look up something on the internet with a click or two. So I think that was a huge part of it too.
Okay. So, so as you move, eventually you end up in Utah, you meet Taylor and her husband, you think they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
By that time, you and Miranda had been 5-6 years. You had at least one kid. Is that right?
Yeah.
And did you go 5 years kind of being not super devout Mormons by that point?
I think we went to church. Again, we moved a lot. So that actually, every time we moved, we felt like we didn't really, we didn't have a connection to the Lord. Yeah. It's just kind of hard to like replant yourself. But I remember we got a place in Orem that was right over by the Gold's Gym over there. That's now Avasa. And we like ended up going to that ward and had a decent time. I remember I played a church ball with those dudes a few times because I was like trying to assimilate into that group. And so we tried to go, But again, we weren't operating off of Orthodox standards by any means. And I think that we kind of hid that from our parents because they were like, my dad would ask me, how's church? You guys got a calling yet? I'm like, oh, not yet. I don't know why. I don't even know the bishop. So
you all started to do like things like try alcohol as a couple or have beer in the fridge, that kind of thing? Or
I'd only tried one thing one time on a cruise with Miranda. Really, really shitty cruise, by the way. I tried like Sky vodka and I drank enough to like, make a horse go to sleep. And so I had a miserable experience, got seasick. I didn't try again for years. And then it was actually at a cabin party with Tate and Taylor, which is kind of the prequel to the eventual swinging drama, that I started drinking again. And
okay, so you went years not doing that kind of stuff.
Didn't drink, and I was in college, like I never drank. I was DD, and I didn't really feel like I was making that decision out of the sphere of my parents. It was more just like, oh, I've gone this long, like who cares?
Yeah.
Okay.
So still trying to make the church work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So maybe it's time to now talk about how the friendship, what's that?
Can I just ask a question
Please,
before we move on?
yeah,
Because in that time you've become a dad, right? And like, what did you feel ready for that? Was that, was you becoming a dad like connected to Mormonism in any way? Or
me becoming a dad
ready?
is when I really started to be like, I remember having very, very clear discussions with myself. Like, okay, I have a son now. I can't really half-ass, like parents are wondering about like, when am I going to bless my son in the church? And we did actually end up doing that.
So you said the blessing,
I did.
Bless your son.
Yeah. And I actually like would do it again. Because again, my whole thing on that is like, it's my son. Like I actually, maybe I'm not worthy by your standards, but at that point I was like, I don't really care. Like I'm going to say a prayer and for better or for worse. And so I had deconstructed even more at that point, but I wasn't ready to like step away. I think my son was when I was like, okay, either I'm doing this and I'm going to get a calling and I'm going to do it the right way, or I'm all the way out. And I had a friend at the time that came to some of these cabin parties that was like, he went on a mission, he deconstructed, and he's very smart. He actually is a big fan of you. And he's actually who introduced me to Mormon Stories. Yeah. And anyways, I would ask him questions, a couple, and then he would give me like a ton of info. And sometimes it was like, okay, that's a little much.
Like about Joseph Smith.
Yeah. Like, and he could give you every detail. And super smart guy. One of the most at that exact company though that I worked at, like he's the top dude. He crushes it because he's a genius and he's so smart, and he's just a good dude. But he helped me kind of deconstruct because I was like, I'm either in or I'm out and I want to figure it out. And I was kind of taking steps towards deconstructing, but like not being vocal about it to my parents, obviously, or my community at home. And, I kind of was like, I don't really know how to announce that or go about doing that, but I don't think I believe this anymore. And I think I'm kind of out. And that's why I was starting to engage more in like drinking, felt okay, and like trying out marijuana or whatever.
When you were having these big doubts, did you talk to Miranda about them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally. Yeah.
And how was she processing that?
She was cool about it because she was always like, yeah, for sure. Like she didn't have like super rigid opinions on it. Again, I think that she was just so like, well, I already don't really struggle with this guilt complex, but so she totally knew, and was really supportive about it too along the way. Because I voiced to her like, I don't want to leave the church because I want to sin. I don't believe this, or I do, and I want to figure out what the right one is for me so we can follow it. So yeah, and that kind of set the stage for what ultimately helped me leave the church, which was basically a public humiliation ritual by by way of Taylor Paul going on TikTok Live.
So
damn.
Okay, so around what year are we talking about where you start to have friends where you maybe start to party with a little bit?
COVID. So 2020.
Okay, 2020
is
you're living where?
We're
Still
living in Harriman.
You moved to Harriman.
Mm-hmm.
Do you buy a house or?
Yep. We got a little house up there.
So you're doing well enough in what, software sales?
Yeah.
To where you can buy a house.
Yeah.
Miranda has one kid or two by this point.
At this point,
2020.
Our second's almost on the way.
Okay. And you're doing well enough in your career to buy a house in Harriman. That's actually quite good.
Well, low interest rates at that time. They were killer. But yeah. Well,
and is Harriman a lot like Daybreak? Like tiny houses all bunched up next to each other?
Yeah. It's we had a single family home in a cookie cutter neighborhood. Yeah.
Okay.
But it was ours. We liked it. I loved it. I felt like it was like cool to have a place. But yeah, we were like, I could like reach out my window and touch my neighbor's house, you know.
And did y'all attend your Herman Ward at first, at least?
No, at this point, we didn't really go ever.
Okay, so was there like, okay, we're moving to Harriman, we're gonna have a clean break for Mormonism, or what?
Yeah, I think at that point we just like were kind of disinterested in the topic of like really church attendance. I think at this point I'd really deconstructed to the point where I was like, I don't have any interest in going.
So you lost your faith completely by the time you moved
at this
to
point,
Harriman.
I'm like, I don't think I believe all this. Like,
And what were, let's say, the top 3 to 5 issues where you just that maybe made you feel comfortable leaving the church?
I kind of knew, like, again, the whole Jeffrey R. Holland talk, I really put to the test where I was like, either I will believe this or I think it's completely made up. And then there were things that I thought helped me realize that's what I thought. And part of it was ever changing. Like, I feel like standards keep changing. I feel like
which ones?
Well, you know, like even grooming and dress, I felt like was funny how, like, I mean, garments now, I guess this is later, but like I was like, I don't really feel like that makes any sense. I don't feel like the Lord looketh on the heart and not the outward appearance, but he apparently really cares about the outward appearance when it comes to garments. I don't think that makes any sense. You know, obviously had issues with like the civil rights movement and the timing of like the blacks getting the priesthood. I felt like it was really, really interesting. And I kind of was like, oh, it doesn't sound like a God that knows everything and loves everyone. It sounds like reactive, not proactive. And
so the fact that, number one, the Mormon church didn't allow black men to have the priesthood or women to attend the temple, that's a problem. It's racist. But then the fact that the church buckled in 78 and gave it felt like they were caving to social pressure.
Yeah, it's totally reactive.
Okay.
And also I thought like at this point I had a couple friends that were gay, and I was like, I can't rationalize, like, I know to your core this is who you are, and I can't imagine a God that loves everyone, that sets you up for failure, because you can't actually get married to the love of your life. And it's like, I would always picture myself, if I had to get married to a man in order to make it to heaven, like how miserable that would be for me, just because that's not who I am. And that was a huge one, because I got pretty politically interested at this point too, and I had some rigid opinions about politics, and that was my views are pretty against the grain as far as like Rexburg and people that I grew up with. And I remember just being like, that doesn't make any sense at all. Like, I don't agree with that at all. I can't co-sign that. Obviously, this early church stuff that I started to get into, that I was just like, immediately no. You know, whether it be polygamy, you know, I think still to this day, I think that Brigham Young is like, I mean, this is going to be something that may be a soundbite, but like, I think Brigham Young would have 100% been a guy that was in the files. Like, that dude was you
mean the Jeffrey Epstein files?
Yeah. Like, that guy totally loved power. He loved manipulation. He loved being able to take
credit loved young women.
Loved young women. And like, I think of like all the early church prophets, and I'm like, the people's disgust with the people that are in those files and the whole thing. I'm like, that is exactly what happened. Almost that same thing that happened. Like, that's not new. And so,
can I say Joseph Smith has so many parallels to Jeffrey Epstein? Like, honestly,
totally.
Brigham got it from Joseph.
100%.
Yeah.
And I realized that, and I was like, I don't need to co-sign this. Like, I actually think that you can find all the things. One of my favorite quotes, I don't remember who said it, but it was like, everything that I love about Mormonism is available outside of it, and everything that I don't like, you don't have to worry about. And I was like, yeah, like, eternal families, cool. That's not a unique, I mean, Mormons like to think it's unique to them, but it's not. Like, I don't really know if I believe in that anymore, but at the time I was like, I can have that outside of it. You know, faith and becoming a better person and doing good to your neighbor. That's like every other religion. That's actually like basically all the religions are like those ones. So I found the core tenets that I liked were available outside of the confines of Mormonism. And I realized, like, I don't believe this, and I don't really care. And I didn't tell my parents, and I just wasn't ready for that, because I was very terrified of how they would react. But that's why I think, in retrospect, the whole Taylor going on live and outing us all as swingers was actually a really good thing for me, because
I wanted to ask a couple more questions before we get there. Yeah, there's the quote, everything good about Mormonism isn't unique, and everything unique about Mormonism isn't good. Isn't necessarily good, right? Yeah. Okay, so so did you like reach a point where you're like, I don't believe this anymore, and then like tell Miranda, I don't believe this anymore?
Yeah,
you did.
Yep.
And did she say me neither, or did she?
No,
I don't
she
care
was
enough.
A little bit more. She was a little slower with it, just because, again, she didn't have all the huge feelings that I did about it. I remember I told her, I was like, this is actually, I remember the exact thing that made me tell her that I'm out. And I think I'm ready to get my records removed was just when I deconstructed the atonement, which was always, always talked about in such high regard, obviously, as this incredible sacrifice that, he did for Jesus Christ did for all of us, which is, that's like, I remember on my mission, there's no topic that brought people to tears more than the atonement. And it's like the center of everything. And I, just like everything else, when I really peeled back the onion for me was like, okay, but I didn't even ask for that. And like, I don't really want him. I'll suffer for my sins actually. And like, I don't want to have to follow all the rules you put forth for me because of something that happened thousands of years ago that I don't even remember like giving the thumbs up on. And I remember being like that alone, like, I think I'm out. I think I'm out on that because, and again, if that puts me in hell forever, like so be it, but I didn't ask for that. And not to be insensitive, but like that's actually classic manipulation, which is like, I did this for you here, like create the problem, sell the solution. I'm like, that's at the core what the atonement is, which is, and again, some people love that. And I hate bringing this up because people get really, really sensitive about this.
It's sacred to them.
Very sacred. And that's great. You know what's sacred to me is like my favorite band, and they probably don't like that. So I just think when I got to that point and realized like, oh my gosh, like I'm actually totally okay with not subscribing to that. And I don't think that just because the atonement happened, which by the way, everyone that tells you it did, good for you. But like, you have to believe in it in a way that I just don't. So that was when I was like, oh yeah, I'm out.
There's a meme. Jesus died for my sins. That's manipulative. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Me and Tyler have been saying that for like a decade. Like we did not ask him to do that.
Yeah, I was like,
that's
I didn't ask him to do that.
No, I had the exact same concern. One of my first Mormon Stories episodes, I'm like, if God made us all to be imperfect, so we're supposed to feel terrible that we sin?
That's like his choice.
What's that?
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, say it.
It's just on him,
Yeah.
That's what he chose to make. Okay.
Yeah, and
how's that my problem?
And then we're supposed to feel terrible, and then he chooses to punish his son, bleed and suffer and die. That's just inhumane.
Well, and I would
like, why is Jesus getting all that torture for the mistakes we make?
Yeah.
And then all this happened without my consent.
Yep.
So I'm supposed to feel terrible about it. And again, to a Mormon, this is the absolute worst possible thing you could ever say is what we're saying right now.
It's blasphemous.
Right.
And it's totally.
But I think we make good points, even though it's also.
And I love Jesus. I think he was a mystic much more than Mormonism acknowledges.
Yeah.
So you're still pro Jesus, just not pro Mormon atonement
and I think
theology.
too. I think Jesus actually, the way I look at it, was like that dude was very much in alignment, and that's my whole thing. Was
so
like,
we're not anti-Jesus here
not
right
at
now.
all.
No, but I'm pro Gnostic Jesus.
Right.
Like a lot of stuff about Jesus. I mean, our whole perception of Jesus is filtered through whoever was in power, who was dictating like what he's presented as. But actually, he was like a mystic, desert wanderer guy.
Yeah. So we're not anti-Christs. We're anti-Mormon atonement theology.
Yeah, I'm anti you telling me what Jesus what he meant to me.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want with how he meant to you, and how that means you need to act in your day to day. I don't care. But like I'm also going to make the call on that for myself.
Yeah, Mormon atonement is guilt trip theology.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And here's the solution: XYZ. And it's
pay the church 10%, obey the church till you're dead. Feel terrible about all these things that you do that are human.
And don't read anything else that has anything else to say besides, church approved sources. And even the church approved sources, like we're going to tell you how to interpret it.
So when you told Miranda all this, she
was kind of like, okay, yeah, like I respect it. She's like, I support it. She's like, it's obviously at that point, I think I went through a stage of like anger where I was vocally upset with the church. And I would try to tell people about how much better it was to not believe in it, because that's what it was for me. And I feel like that's a terrible place to be too, for like just being like accusatory and attacking and try to go to my mom, who's obviously not ready for this, nor does it matter because it's her life. But like I had a phase where, and she didn't like that. She's like, okay. And I think in retrospect, like I didn't like that. I didn't like that version of myself either, because I was doing the exact same thing that I didn't want people to do with me, which was telling me how or what to believe. And that's what I left. And so for me to do the same thing afterwards was difficult for me to rationalize. And I got to a good place with that where I I mean, fun fact, actually, light bulb moment for me was realizing this on a beach with my friend. We were dropping acid, if I'm being honest, and having like some of the most productive conversations I've ever had, because it helped me with my relationship with my dad and how I view him, and how I was kind of, it's just the same side of the different side of the same coin, where I wanted him to succumb to what I believed and why I thought it was right. And he wanted the same thing for me. And that's why I didn't like him, or I had a hard time with him. And I realized, like, dude, the only way for me to be happy is to worry about what I believe and how I want to live. And absolutely no one beyond that. Even my kids, I should just be like supportive. Support, love, that's it. I don't have to even tell you what's right and what's wrong. Obviously, there's like some things that are black and white on that. But like, for the most part, it's like, dude, I think that I'm all about experiencing, emotions of every single part of the spectrum. And I think that's what life is. And so I stopped. I kind of retracted my anti whole thing. And I now I'm like super comfortable. I have friends that are LDS and friends that still believe, and there's some that are more nuanced, but I don't care. And I love them because they know what's best for them. And I would never, ever, ever be arrogant enough to tell them what I think is best for them. I just ask for the same thing in return.
That's beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. So you have met Taylor and her husband by this point. Really quickly, did Taylor exhibit, right now by season 4, there's this Taylor Dakota dynamic that just comes off as super toxic. And did Taylor show signs of that early on or not?
Not early on. No. I mean, at this point, she's married to her ex-husband, who's very different than Dakota. And no, not at all. I think that Taylor, I thought the same thing about her, where I was just like, oh, if you didn't tell me that you believed in the church, I don't think I'd even know that you did. Not to like knock on her, but like she drank coffee. I remember she like loved coffee. I mean, I tease her for a coffee order because it's barely coffee. It's mostly like a milkshake, but she drank that, and I was like, okay. Like, and she's like, I drank in high school. She didn't at the time, she didn't drink anymore, but she didn't live her life in a way that you'd be like, oh, you are Mormon or you are LDS. She was just kind of like, that's my faith. I do believe it. But it seemed like it was kind of like on the back burner of things. And that's why I liked her, because I was like, that's kind of where I want it to be for me.
So did you and Miranda like become close friends with Tate and Taylor?
Best friends.
Yeah. Best friends.
We ended up like doing twice a week. We'd go over to their house, DoorDash, just hang out, talk. Like,
this is COVID time?
This is COVID. Yeah. This is like a little pre-COVID and then COVID. Yeah. We just hang out with them. Like, this is before we ever drank or anything. We just would go over there, DoorDash, put the kids down. Sometimes we put our kid down in their like spare bedroom, and because he slept really well, and we'd just hang out until like midnight, and then we'd go home. Like,
what would y'all do?
Just hang out, literally talk about whatever. We'd literally laugh for hours. Like, it was so much fun. And that's why we loved them, because it was such a unique friendship where like we could just hang out. It wasn't like we had to do like go somewhere or have like an activity planned. It was like, and Taylor's very low key, and he was too. Tate was very, very much like stay in, kind of just chill. And we would stay in, hang out, watch something, DoorDash, laugh, talk about whatever they would do TikToks at the time. TikTok was brand new. And then we just do that. That was it. Like, it was like the most.
Did y'all drink together at first?
It wasn't until later. It was probably later in COVID, like a little bit after COVID, where we started to like, Airbnbs were very affordable because no one was getting them. And so we'd book a big Airbnb, go up, and like some people would bring alcohol, some people wouldn't. I didn't drink.
But more couples are being added.
More couples, yeah, like more friends that we work with at the same company. And
okay.
Their wives.
Okay. So yeah, talk about how other members of the wives or whatever started being added. Who got added? Or did that happen later?
Very early on, it was just coworkers basically that were friends. But then later, our friends Camille and Sam, they ended up meeting Taylor and Miranda, and they started to come hang out more. And that's when those 3 girls started doing like MomTok videos.
Who's the third person?
Her name's Camille.
Oh, we don't know her.
I don't think you guys know her. Maybe that's like early days. If like, this is 2020, and this is when like the origin of MomTok, which is hilarious to say, but like they would do videos, those 3, and all of them, by the way, would like, because people were shocked that they were really, really obviously really pretty, but they were also very young, and they all had kids. They were just like, what's going on in Utah? Like, these are the moms out there. Like, they look like they're 23.
Did they call it MomTok from the start?
Mm-hmm.
And what did they explain what they were doing and why to their husbands?
No, I mean, it was nice for us because we were all at work, and then they'd be like, hey, instead of just like, they'd go hang out and make a few videos on TikTok. And this is early days. So, you know, that's just like a fun thing for girls to do. And then they'd have the kids doing play dates. So it was like really nice because the kids are kind of playing with friends. They're getting a social interaction that I think that a lot of moms that, you know, you get married and have kids that you kind of don't have because you're just at your house with the kids all the time. So they kind of got to check that box. It was all our friend group anyways. And then we'd kind of plan on like our next hangout at whether it was a cabin or maybe we're gonna go to Mexico, which we did once. And like, it was so fun. It was like such a fun friend group. And it was really wholesome because there wasn't any like swinging happening yet. It was really just like hanging out and we all had a good time. And we were all kind of in a similar stage of life, which was like, we're not hyper religious. A lot of us are deconstructing. And we're also like hanging out pretty frequently and feel like we're a part of something, which I think is also something people have a hard time with when you get married and have kids and work all the time and don't have a friend group.
Was there a lot of angst and intensity around people leaving the church or questioning the church or even being low key about the church? Or was it just not even really addressed?
Wasn't addressed. I felt like I was one of the only people. Yeah. I feel like no one really cared about even talking about it. I was one of the only people that I felt like I'd talk to my friend and be like, dude, so tell me about this. And he'd be like, well, yeah, this and that. But that wasn't like, no one really cared. Like Miranda, Taylor, those girls were kind of like, my relationship with the church is what it is. I don't really care to talk about it. Like, just didn't care. Like,
see, that's so different again from my Mormon experience.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't top of mind.
And women like the Mormon girls I would have dated at BYU, they would have left you if you like
100%
lost your faith or started drinking, or they would say, well, our marriage is over.
Yeah.
But y'all were married to different types of Mormon women.
Yeah.
Not that it's bad, just it's different.
Yeah. And then some of the people in that friend group like were active members, but like didn't really, they drank or like they were also going, they didn't really care. Like they just, oh yeah, we go on Sundays, but like we don't. I'm like, oh, cool. So it was very, very no judgment. Like no one even asked. No one really cared. I mean, I cared because I was actively deconstructing and I kind of more minded around like, I need to make a decision on this. But yeah, for the most part, it was like very much not a topic.
Okay. So there's two tracks, and Samantha, jump in if at any point. Like there's two tracks I want to follow is like the growth of MomTok and then the growth of like behaviors that led to the swinging scandal.
Yeah.
And maybe those things happened in parallel.
They did.
Okay.
Yeah. So as the girls, like, so it's Taylor, Camille, Miranda, and like they start doing little TikTok dances and just little bits. Like Taylor joked around about being their mom because someone said once in a comment, like, she looks like their mom. And so Taylor leans into that. And that's why she's a genius with social media. And people started being like, they're starting to get millions of views, by the way, early. And people are like, oh my gosh, this is their mom. Are those her twin daughters? And they just leaned into that and they joke about it. But every video they posted was getting millions of views. And so as that went on.
Were they monetizing at that point?
At that point, yes. Taylor was, Miranda and Camille, small brand deals, like people sending them PR. It's kind of the early stages of that, which then again, just kind of reaffirmed the fact that we're like, sweet, like they get to feel fulfillment from, you know, this, they get makeup sent to them or they get a clothes and like we're hanging out at work and these are already our friends, like love it. And
Miranda was one of the first three.
Yep.
So she was dancing and doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She was there and she liked it too. Cause her and Camille and, you know, Miranda were friends, or Taylor were friends. As that keeps growing, they start getting very popular and other moms are reaching out, you know, and they know some of the other moms and they just kind of get together and they start doing more like MomTok videos with bigger group where like Miranda one time she'd host at our place during the day. So I'm at work and I'd see a video of her, Whitney, Macy, Layla, Michaela, Taylor.
Do you remember when each of those women joined?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember like not knowing who they were, but I was like, oh, it's a fun group. Were they cool? And she's like, yeah, we had a blast. Like, this is her. This is her. I was like, I don't know who any of them are.
And
I
is
never
this
meet
all
them.
Riverton or no?
Harriman.
Yeah. This is all Harriman. Are most of these couples and women either in Daybreak or Harriman, or
a couple of them are like Utah County, a little bit more south, but yeah,
okay,
for the most part within 30, 40 minutes of like Harriman.
Okay. Interesting.
And yeah, it's funny because I never like really met them prior to the swinging scandal because they'd always do these videos on a weekday when the husbands were working.
Oh, so like all those names you just mentioned, Whitney and Jen and a lot of the others.
Not Jen, but like some of the other ones. Yeah. Like Michaela, Macy, Layla.
You met later.
I met later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So a
I
lot of
didn't
that's
really know
happening while you're at work.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, cool. Miranda's got a bunch of new mom friends. Like,
Okay.
thumbs up.
Okay.
And again, every one of their videos is just blowing up. It was just a content machine. It was foolproof too. They'd post a video. I was like, damn, they got 2 million views on this one. Like, it's crazy, you know?
Mhm.
And all of a sudden they're like, yeah, remember Taylor hit 1 million followers, and then Miranda, like, and then Taylor hit 2 million followers. And we're like, this is nuts.
And Taylor would get more. Would they all publish on their own channels too?
They would, but Taylor was always like the leader, the protagonist.
And was Miranda ever like, why does Taylor get more views than me or more subs than me, kind of thing?
No, actually, Taylor, I think Miranda was very comfortable with her role. Again, just a phenomenally mature person without basically without blemish. Miranda's awesome. And so no, she never was like problematic about it. She knew Taylor kind of already had a bigger following on Instagram, because she used to post like matching pictures with her and her daughter. I think they'd get like matching clothes, and that was kind of her thing. And so I think she was already by default kind of the biggest person on socials, and that just continued. But then Taylor also had different bits that she would do that was really intelligent. Like, she would put up her camera and she would like have like a fishing line thing, and then she'd do this video about how her house was haunted and how her like water would turn on or something would fall over. Those videos would go crazy. So Taylor early on was like good at the social media
She's
thing.
kind of a social media genius.
Yeah. And then Camille and Miranda and them would just do stuff together, and it built to bigger moms. And then naturally as those friendships evolved and they got more friends, we'd start to invite more of those people to like cabin parties or a party at Taylor and Tate's house. So our parties grew, and I felt like we met a lot of people through basically MomTok, literally. So yeah.
So and is the cabin parties when things started to go awry?
Yeah, that's when we started to like, people would bring up alcohol, and we kind of started dabbling in that more. And then I remember like we got trashed one time and like played spin the bottle, and that kind of became then like the norm going forward, is like a little bit more, I guess, promiscuity with that. But it was never
people
like,
start developing, like, is it pretty obvious that people would just start developing feelings for other people's spouses basically? Or
I feel like there's only probably 4 or 5 times period where like these cabin parties were like spin the bottle or anything like that happened at all. Like, it wasn't actually all that consistent, because it very quickly reached a point where it blew up. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, me and Taylor had a little bit of a thing where there was, again, people know online about this, but she had said to me at the gym once, I saw her at the gym all the time, that she's like, I had a dream about you. And I was like, oh, really? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, what dream? And she's like, you know what kind of dream? And I was like, oh.
So she was kind of hitting
kind of
on
flirty. But then I also texted her once and said the same thing back. And that was where I think that's where things kind of started to get a little muddy. And I was obviously bad spouse and not okay. But then Taylor, I guess, was also, she was kind of texting my other buddy, who they ended up having a little bit of an affair. That's what blew it all up.
Oh, it wasn't with you?
No, it wasn't with me.
And was Miranda, like you said, she was chill about the church. Was she chill about you flirting with Taylor?
No,
okay.
She was not excited about that.
Okay,
and yeah, that was not okay. And I was, again, to her credit, I think I was figuring things out a lot in real time. I think it was very stupid emotionally. Miranda was on the other side of that spectrum. And so I think that like I made a lot of mistakes that kind of poked holes in the trust that she had with me ultimately. And that's kind of why we ended up getting divorced.
Can I ask you if your faith dissolving left you kind of disoriented and possibly vulnerable to like not knowing which way was up? I don't mean to put that into your story, but no, I think I see it a lot.
There's validity in the fact that I think deconstructing made me realize, like, made me a little bit overcorrect into maybe a little bit more nihilistic belief, where I was like, well, who cares then? Like, if there's not a God that I don't like believe in, like, what's the fucking point? And also, like, who cares? Like, there's no longer this morality barometer that I carry with me everywhere. It's more just like, well, and I knew what was right and what was wrong. I knew that it wasn't okay to flirt with Taylor or to do that in any capacity, but I was kind of, easily justifying it by, being like, oh, who cares? And also maybe aided by some drinks in my system. So yeah, I think that contributed. I think ultimately it was obviously, I knew what was right and what was wrong, and I chose to do the wrong thing. And that affected me in our relationship. But I think there was a contribution of like, well, I've never done this. And also like, yeah, who cares? I don't believe in that anymore. So
I mean, if your morality is rooted in a religious belief system, and then the religious belief system dissolves, there dissolves for many the foundation of their morality.
Yep.
It actually follows quite logically.
And I think and I feel like I'm pretty logical. So I feel like that's kind of what happened with me. And again, I knew that I was doing the wrong thing, and it was not a good like partner moment for me at all. And it was a betrayal to Miranda. But at the same time, I feel like I was just, at the same time, questioning, like, why do we get married so young in the temple? Like, thinking that we had to do that in order to like do the right thing for us. And I'm questioning, should we have done that? And then rationalizing these really, really careless mistakes by saying, oh, I shouldn't. I actually feel bad for myself because of XYZ, which isn't the mature response, and it wasn't fair to Miranda. But also, I feel like there's a little bit of credence to it because,
like, a lot of people feel like, who are in this situation, especially in their 30s or 40s, I feel like I was robbed. Like, I didn't get to have normal dating experiences or whatever.
And you have 2 kids by the time this is happening. Yeah, from the way you've told the story, it almost sounds like you and Miranda just seamlessly became parents. But was that intense to have been deconstructing and being like, oh, I already have these kids as well?
Oh yeah, no, there was a ton of weight to that too. Because again, I feel like the guilt complex comes back when you're like, now I'm not only a bad kid or a bad person, but I'm also maybe a bad dad. And then wanting to like tell me, I don't think I'm a bad dad, but like based on the rules that I'm continually not following, it's hard to argue that I'm not, because I'm not following the word of wisdom. I'm not technically being the best spouse to Miranda, and maybe betraying her in ways that I shouldn't be. I'm also not being honest to my parents. They don't know what I believe and how I act. And I just felt completely, to go back to what the theme for me has been recently, is out of alignment. Like I felt
from
like
high school, you felt that way.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I felt like
even when you were doing all the things.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like that is the core reason why I was unhappy, was I just didn't feel like I was in alignment with what I think is right for me. And
what you had been taught was right for you.
Exactly.
Not what you actually felt.
Yes.
Was right for you.
Exactly. What I was taught was right. And it was like a scorecard. And so I felt really, really heavy about that. And I feel like it led to some overcorrecting in my behavior, which permeated through after the divorce in the last year and a half, with, engaging in drinking maybe more and substances. And that's kind of what led to the DUI last summer that I got. So a lot of things that I feel like my theme in my life has always been, I make a mistake, I kind of learn from it, but I make a lot of mistakes, and I touch the oven. So,
So was it Taylor? Well, first of all, there's the TikTok blow up, and then there's your marriage blow up. Talk about which happened when and how.
And they're not as closely correlated as people think. Like the TikTok blow up happens. We end up first.
Okay.
We end up moving back to Idaho.
Wait, after the blow up, you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about the blow up.
Blow up's crazy. It's like national news. I mean,
what happened?
I think the Rolling Stones did an article on it. Well, so what happened was Taylor ends up getting caught with our friend, and they're having an affair.
An actual. So the soft swinging thing always comes up. Was that before Taylor gets caught with your friend?
Yep. Probably like the month leading up to that.
So what do you want to say about that?
Well, I think we'd all been going to these cabin parties, getting trashed, doing things that like were a little bit more gray area for sure, if not crossing over completely to like things we knew we shouldn't have been doing as married couples.
But you mean like playing spin the bottle and stuff?
It's basically, yeah. I mean, no one ever did, I think, like hooking up with each other next to each other, not switching, but like hammered, me and Miranda hooking up, Taylor and her ex-husband hooking up right there. And like,
you're saying that did happen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
like, y'all would be intimate with your spouse in the presence of other spouses.
Yeah. So like stuff like that, where it's like, well, we're not like cheating and also spin the bottle. Like I kissed her, but you also kissed him. So like very almost juvenile stuff.
Yeah. And it sounds like everyone was consenting to that.
100%.
Like
everyone was consenting. Yeah. And everyone that was there was consenting to being there for sure. But then come to find out that, Taylor and our friend are having an affair. That comes to a head. And it immediately, I think Taylor, who has the biggest platform at this point, I think 2-3 million followers, she kind of felt, I think, a little jaded because everyone kind of takes a big step back from our really good friend group. And Miranda is her best friend at the time. And I think Miranda's shaken up by it because her other friend, who doesn't know her as well as Taylor, but like her other friend is the one that Taylor, was with her husband. So that's like another friendship that Miranda cares about. And Taylor, I think, just felt like, okay, everyone's blaming me for this, but technically we're all kind of fooling around, and there's some validity to that. So she goes on TikTok live and you know, she basically says we're all swingers.
And this other couple they don't use their name in public, and that's
no, they don't.
Okay.
They kind of lay low.
Okay, that's fine.
And so yeah, she goes on.
Was she part of MomTok at the beginning?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, so she wasn't. She was just kind of a friend that hung out with us.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay,
she didn't really do any of the TikToks.
Okay.
And
Taylor did that live after people had found out that she'd cheated.
Yep.
Which to me is so different from the swinging thing. Like those are two completely separate.
Well, and I would agree with you, but what me and Miranda's reaction to that was really what did us in, where I was at work with my boss, who's a friend of ours that used to hang out with us too and came to some of these cabin parties. And we're at lunch at an Indian restaurant, and I see this live pop up, and I'm getting texts. I pull up Taylor's live, and I'm like, holy shit. We just
God.
Swingers. And all of a sudden I get text message. My boss is like, you need to go home, be with Miranda, because he knows Taylor really well. I go home and Miranda's crying. She's like, I don't want my parents to think I'm a swinger, because we don't feel like we are.
So y'all hadn't, for example, had intercourse with other people?
Nothing.
See, that label would be horrific and untrue.
Yeah.
And that's why we go on a live right like an hour later, and we're like, we're not involved. Because in our minds, we're like, the people that are involved in this that actually kind of swapped are the couples that are in, like, they got caught, you know, Taylor and the guy. But then like the online reception to me and Miranda saying like, we're not involved was like, oh, we have nothing to do with this. And then Taylor's rebuttal is like, well, you guys play and spin the bottle, you're doing that. And we're like, okay, well, yeah. So we should have been a little bit better about like, we have done this to this point. We have not switched.
But I hate that you were even in a position where you had to be like sharing your like private sexual stuff in any way.
That's what we felt like. We're like,
the implication that it was just inherently bad that anyone did anything, even though it was consensual.
But and therein lies what I think so interesting about, you know, Utah in general. Because I think in any other situation, a lot of times, or like Mormonism in general, like this isn't such a huge story. And that's why we and Miranda were like, we have to defend ourselves. We're not PR trained. You know, this is just like a side thing that Miranda does when I'm at work. And so we're like, we're not swingers. And then Taylor, who, again, I understand her side, which is like, everything's falling apart. I'm actually like, we're all a part of this because we've been doing this. And yeah, you can argue like the terms, but like, I understand her side and I empathize with it because she was going through a lot. But that's why people hated us for a while, because they're like liars. Liars, like you guys lied about that, and Chase had feelings for Taylor, and now they're lying and they're running away, and we're like, ugh. So online was rough for like a year and a half. Miranda was crippled with anxiety, felt like she got strung out as somebody that she wasn't, and I was the one that I was like, I shouldn't have flirted with Taylor, that was stupid. I was kind of the one that was like, yeah, we should go to these, like drink and not like spin the bottle. Like I'm the one pushing that more than her, and so I felt a ton of guilt for myself, because I'm like, look at this now Miranda, who's by the way the best person I've ever been around, is getting strung out as a liar and a fraud, and she's no longer getting brand deals for a time because no one wants to associate with that, and I feel like it's kind of my fault. And so there's a lot of guilt. That was the last year and a half of our marriage, you know. And I
have a question. Thank you for being so vulnerable, by the way. And I'm sure you've told the story a gazillion times, so thanks for telling it here. And this question is going to sound accusatory, but it's not, because I think I can get what you may have been feeling on some level. But what's it? You smoking beautiful wife who's super wise and cool. Explain to people why you would even have interest in somebody else, and that's not accusatory.
Yeah, no, you're right, because Miranda is all of those things, and yet I still felt like I was interested in dabbling in stuff like that, like drinking. And I thought that sounded fun, like spin the bottle, like that's kind of funny. I think it's just because if I wasn't raised in a very orthodox home, I do think that I would have been someone that went to like college and lived a more traditional college lifestyle, and maybe afterwards would have not been married. And I would have probably, whatever these things, like I felt like I needed to check off or experiment with or experience, because I just said 20 minutes ago, I think that life is a collection of experiences, and I actually want to run the gamut of that in here while I'm here. I don't want to just always be on the right side of everything. I actually really value the times that I feel like I've done the wrong thing, because I learned from it intimately and enough that I can actually tell people, like, let me give you firsthand why I don't think you should do that, because I've done it. And so for me, it was like, yeah, Miranda is check every box in the book. She's not only beautiful and an incredible person, but she's also like the best mom I've ever met. And like, I'll get emotional talking about it because she is truly that. And yet I still had a proclivity to wanting to be around things that I just never felt like I was able to. And I do think that has a religious tie. So
what's revealing to me, like just the persona of the episodes I've seen you in, the impression I would have taken away would have been like, he was a bad boy. He was never really Mormon to begin with. Probably didn't serve a mission, probably had a rough childhood, not really raised in the church. And so he went crazy.
Yeah.
But you weren't a quote bad boy. You were a good Mormon boy who was trying your best to make Mormonism work.
Totally.
And you were living the gospel for as long as you felt like you could.
Yeah, never drank till I was 25. Miranda was my first. Like I feel like, yeah, the bad boy label, I feel like has been something that I feel like my parents thought I was a bad boy. And I'm like, in high school, I feel like I didn't do anything like to check that box. So yeah, I feel like it was truly an innate desire for me to like experience things that I hadn't experienced because I got married to Miranda so young. And it wasn't ever a knock on her, ever a reflection of who she was or wasn't. It was way more me just like, this is kind of who I am. And this is actually, it sounds weird to say in alignment when you're like talking about basically cheating or whatever, but I feel like it's just experiencing things so that I can end up learning who I am is something that I needed to do. And in a marriage to Miranda, especially one that was founded in like our shared Mormon belief, like that just simply wasn't something that I was ever going to do.
Well, this is something that we'll talk about at the end, but like one of the things I'm always thinking about is how bad people on some of these reality TV shows come off.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm wondering, are these people just all lame? Or is reality TV making them all look lame? Or is it some people are cool, but it just makes them look lame and some are actually lame? And maybe it makes them look cool. Like I'm always wondering, like, what do these people really like?
Yeah.
And that's the thing I love most on episodes. Is like getting to know you.
Yeah.
It's number one, it brings in the multiple dimensions of your life story. But like, I find you like super thoughtful and sincere and relatable and smart. And I'm a little bit, and maybe none of the other people on Secret Lives are actually that way, but I probably think many of them are.
Yeah.
But do you think about how frustrating it is?
Yeah.
About how y'all often appear versus the depth and the complexity and the humanity of your actual lived experiences.
Totally. No, that's something that I'm really grateful for. I mean, my attachment to the show is one that's unique because I'm obviously I always joke, like I'm a background dancer. I'm Miranda's baby daddy. Like the girls are the stars of the show. What I'm grateful for that the show has given me in my limited, episodes and involvement is I've always felt like self-expression is so important to me. It's going to start crying. And I felt like it's so much of who I am is exhibited in like what I wear. I like to have I love painting my fingernails, and I never did because I remember I did once years ago and I got ripped for it. And I was like, that's embarrassing. But the show has actually given me, I think a little bit more, people are a little bit more interested in like, okay, explain that. Cause I do think that like, I understand the bad boy label that you get if you first meet me or you first have heard about what happened. And I do kind of fit and align with that. But I'm also like, dude, that's actually not who I think I am. And I think that self-expression is so important to me for whatever reason. And I do think that the church, what's tough about that is I don't feel like I could ever really fully express myself in ways that I really enjoy expressing myself now, which is I do like to go out and I like to hang out with my friends. And if that involves a little bit of drinking, I absolutely love that. And I don't think that there's a way that I've done that where it's not healthy, it's too much. And I got a DUI to show for it. But like, I do like to, I like to do what I like to do. And a lot of that stuff doesn't align with what the church says you're supposed to. And so when I departed from that, it took a while, but now I think I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, you know what? I don't really do anything anymore that I don't feel like I want to. And I feel like the show's given me a little bit of an ability to do that because they do look at you as a character on that. And I do think that like, sometimes people play into that a little bit too much maybe, but like, I feel like I am actually a character. Like I think at my core, like I like to think of myself as a character. And if I live my life in a way that like I'm just a character, it actually helps me rationalize some of the things I feel like I've done that have hurt Miranda. Like, cause that is to today, like one of my biggest regrets is like marrying who I know Miranda is, and I know her, and like kind of not living up to the things I promised her when we got married. And even though I don't think that we got married at a time when you're emotionally able to say that, or at least I wasn't, and make those promises, like I regret hurting her. I'm also very grateful that we got married though, because we wouldn't have our kids. And those are the best parts about me and best parts about her. And she'd say the same. But I feel like all of this stuff that's happened, the Taylor Paul live, you know, the swinging scandal, the divorce, the DUI, I feel like it's just actually peeled back the curtain on like, this is more of a complex individual than just a bad boy that likes to fucking make everyone's life terrible. It's like actually just someone who has experienced a lot of things that he wishes maybe would have gone differently. But I can now tell you, like, I wish I wouldn't have done that. And I'll fall on the sword for everything I've done incorrectly. And I'll continue to do that. But I also am grateful that I've been able to, because no one now, like everyone that talks to me or I come on a podcast, like they're co-signing the fact that I've done a lot of dumb things. And I'll tell you exactly about it. I'm not hiding from it, but I also love that now, like people resonate with that, because I think everyone kind of wants to be able to do that too.
To be authentic.
Yeah, be authentic, be in alignment. Like that's like the best part of this is all like, is I feel like people now, like you wearing a pink shirt, dude, it's got bedazzled. I'm like, that's so weird to do at 30 with kids. And I'm like, yeah, you know, it's also weird to do what everyone else does. And I am out on that because I did that for so long and it never worked for me. So, you know, we talk about all these things and people sometimes are like, I feel so bad for you guys or whatever. I'm like, dude, it was rough when it happened, but thank God it happened, because burned it all to the ground. And I felt like I was able to build something that wasn't a house of cards.
Holy moly, that was beautiful.
I feel like Mormon or not, so many people don't accept that chaos can be such a useful change maker.
Creative.
And yeah, like I think people just have this fantasy notion that you can somehow like get more in alignment with yourself by staying perfectly within all the rules that you've constructed for yourself or whatever. And I just don't think that's realistic. And I think it can be like psychologically healthier for people to like wild out a little bit or a lot.
Yeah.
To like figure out what's actually true for them than to stay contained and to just try and do these like really tiny things that might like teach them something, but realistically will never get them there.
I think a huge part of it, and this is not even related to Mormonism, I think it's on the outside too, but I just think that like I resent the idea that people think that progress is linear.
Yeah.
I'd actually argue that it's not. I think it's really not. I think it's like progress is the opposite of linear. In fact, I think you should burn it down a few times in order to like really figure out where you're at. And I just don't know that many people that like operate off of the progress is linear thing that I think are very real or very authentic or maybe even very happy. So I do. And again, I'm not going to say that as an absolute, because I hate when people talk in absolutes, but I just think generally speaking, you're supposed to be different than you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 1 year ago. And that doesn't mean make a bunch of mistakes and just say, fuck it. That's because, you know, I'm supposed to do that. I don't think that's necessarily the right way to go about it. But I do think that you should be shedding an old version of yourself pretty frequently if you want to evolve. And I hope that means that in 2 years, I'm way different than I am now. And the idea that you should have a 5-10 year plan, I've always laughed at that idea because I'm like, dude, how the hell do you think you know what's going to be happening in that amount of time? So again, I people are different than me, and I sometimes wish I was a little bit more. I feel like I relate more with like the masses, especially in Utah. But also, I feel like now, instead of feeling bad about that, the show has given me the ability to like say that's actually kind of my strength. Is I don't think I fit the mold, and I'm from Rexburg. Like I tell people that, and they're like baffled. And I'm like, hell yeah!
I was baffled.
I thought California for sure.
And I love that. Like I love that because I feel like it shows a little bit more. You know, Rexburg. You can be from Rexburg and still be way different. You know, and I do take I take that as a compliment, despite having made a lot of poor decisions.
So first of all, that was beautiful, and the audience, everyone who's tuning in live, are loving it. Let me just say really quickly. Please subscribe to the channel if you can. That would be great. And like this episode and share it. I won't say anything more, but that'd be great if y'all could do that. So your divorce for Miranda, how much was it Taylor, flirting with Taylor, plus just all the stress from the internet meltdown? versus other stuff that we haven't even talked about?
Oh.
And whatever you want to talk about.
Taylor and Tate, the whole swinger thing, like maybe 10-20% of the reason we got divorced.
So-
Like it was other offenses to breaking Miranda's trust in me.
So
And I
just-
think,
okay.
yeah, like little things, like getting caught messaging someone more than I should have. And I don't think I handle a lot of situations great when it comes to like escalation. I think that that's something that I've worked on.
Just anger.
And I think that like, yeah, I've found someone that I love to go to that Miranda actually recommended. Shout out to her. Her name's Sam, for like it's like a Reiki therapy, like energy thing. It's really helped me kind of dive into like, hey, when you escalate, like this is how you kind of slow that down. Because again, every single time, something that I'm good at is when I do get angry or we have an argument, which doesn't happen that frequently anymore at all, actually, is I'll say sorry really fast, because I do feel really, really bad anytime I feel like it goes to a point that I think is too far. But yeah, no, we got divorced because I wasn't a great spouse to Miranda, like multiple times. And Miranda, to her credit, she's been on a podcast and talked about this. She knows her self-worth. And I think that she knows that she's like, I could stake around and figure out, like wait for Chase to figure it out, but I also don't need to. And I also like can still advocate for him to do that because he's my baby daddy. And like, we're always going to be cordial and we're really good friends now, but she knows that if she wants to be in a committed relationship with someone, she deserves the level of commitment that she was giving. And I wasn't doing that. And, so yeah, she's the one that pulled the plug after like we discussed it a few times. And
How many years?
7
7 years, 2 kids.
7 years, 2 kids.
And were you like, did you feel a sense of relief and freedom, or were you devastated, or both?
I think I was like kind of the classic, like when you get broken up with, you know, you're like, no, I don't want this to happen. And I was sad because it's, you know, I had to tell, you know, my parents who had just been divorced about a year previous, and they had terrible divorce. They hate each other. So it was just like a lot. Like I was the only one that was married at the time. So my siblings now, who I felt like my whole life, I need to be the example. I'm like, well, sorry about mom and dad. I'm also getting divorced. I feel like I'm putting them in a tough spot with the optic of what marriage is supposed to be. I also feel like the idea that anyone has a marriage that's supposed to be is kind of silly, because it's like everyone struggles. But I for sure wasn't the handbook. I shouldn't write the handbook on how to be married. There was a lot of guilt and a lot, again, of just like more so shame and guilt that I felt, because I knew I was the main and basically sole contributor to the failed marriage.
But was there maybe a part of you that like didn't ever really want to be a faithful Orthodox Mormon, didn't want to be married?
I think part of me was like, I do think that in order for me to be a good partner eventually down the line, because I think companionship is the goal, I think in order for me to do that, I have to actually probably break away from this.
So you needed to go on this journey, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. And I try to look at it that way, where it's like everything happens for a reason. And I kind of knew innately, like, I'm not going to be the partner that Miranda needs, like right as currently constituted. There's a lot of growth that needs to happen, a lot of reflection, a lot of work. And that's not going to happen at the hands of being married to her and her feeling like she's always like dragging me along in this marriage. So, yeah, I feel like it was rough for a sec, but I think pretty quickly, I think something that we should all do, guys, especially on this show, Secret Lives, is like, just be humble enough to realize that you're married. And despite what you think the man and female, like woman role in marriage is, like, first of all, I don't agree with that at all. I think it should actually be reversed now if you really want to talk about it, in my opinion on it. But be humble enough to realize that like you're married to someone who, I think women for the most part on the show too, is like, they're a rock star. And Miranda more so than probably anyone, I think. But I was able to, like, I think I looked in the mirror pretty quick. Instead of blaming Miranda or blaming like, oh, you quit or you broke up this family, kind of realized like, all right, no, it's my fault. I need to work on this. I want to be a great like co-parent. And I said that on once, I think on Haley Rawl. I was just like, I wasn't the greatest partner, but I can really work hard at being the best co-parent. And that can be a consolation prize that I'm excited about. And I'm still making strides in that. There's things I can do better, but I do take a lot of pride in trying to be like the best co-parent, because everyone's getting divorced, you know?
Really?
At least, well, not
on the
everyone.
show.
Well,
it looks like it.
no, that's I
Generally.
can't still. But
We'll get there.
yeah.
My daughter Claire helped me prepare some of these questions,
Sure.
and that was one of the things she asked is, how do y'all co-parent?
Well, we kind of do our own thing, man. There's not even a custody schedule. We just operate off like, what do you need from me today? What do you need from me today? And Miranda's got a busy schedule right now filming, and she's got some things in the works that I'm really excited about her being able to share. But like this last week, she was in Nashville for the week. And so I had the kiddos, and she's less inclined to want to go out on, you know, a weekend. And so on weekends, I typically can go out because she's hanging out with the house and doing her thing. We don't really have a playbook. We just like, I respect Miranda, and I do love her in a way that's like, I want to be the best version of myself for you so that you don't have to like have any more stress added to your life as by way of your relationship that ended. Cause I already feel like again, caused Miranda enough strife in our marriage and having that go the way it went. So we literally just like, I text Miranda most of the day. Like, what do you need from me tomorrow? What's your schedule? Like,
Wait, do you have a day job?
Not anymore.
So how do you make ends meet? If you don't have to answer, but
No,
if
it's
you
totally fine. I mean, I actually in November left my sales job 9 to 5. I did that for basically ever. And now I'm operating purely off of social media. I have a manager, and yeah. so
with like TikTok and Instagram mostly,
yeah,
you're able to make ends meet for
like brand deals and stuff. It's kind of funny and kind of cringy to say that, but like that's true. Yeah.
That's not cringy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, it's again, it's like you know, I kind of always joke around, like I do check a lot of red flag boxes, like operation, like, you know, you talk about like from the outside, like doesn't have a job, 30 years old, been divorced, painted fingernails. I'm like, yeah.
Wait, if you're doing social media, getting brand deals, I think that counts as a job.
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, technically I do have a job.
Who has a job these days?
It runs. That's why I tell people I'm trying to join MomTok though. Cause I'm trying to do what those girls crush it and what they do. I'm not anywhere near as big as them, but I mean, yeah, that's my job right now, is monetizing social media.
Okay. So you have your own source of income from social media.
Yes.
And then you're kind of, I don't want to say Mr. Mom, but you take care of the kids whenever she needs you to, in a really flexible way.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all just amicably support each other. I mean, that man, I wonder, especially because you have such warm feelings towards her.
Yeah.
And I imagine she loves you on several levels too. Is that confusing to be on such good terms and to be co-parenting?
I think
like that would
funny.
be.
Yeah, people ask that all the time, and I think it's funny. I picked up Miranda from the airport today, and you know, drove home, and I think it's maybe, yeah. I think some people are always like, "You guys are for sure like hooking up, right?" I'm like, dude, no. I would tell people if I was. I would be bragging about it if I was. I do occasionally tease Miranda and like, "Hey, should I sleep over?" And she's like, "No, leave." But no, I don't know, man. I think it's like I think that most of it. I think that me and Miranda know. Like, I operate with her so well as a co-parent, and I think towards the end of our marriage we did argue a lot, and I think that like I love the fact, and I really value the fact that we have such a good relationship, because I actually think what's funny, I do like to be friends, and I have an ex-girlfriend who I'm really good friends with still, and I think that's came up in a podcast before, like, why? I'm like, because I feel like if you like someone enough to date them, much less marry them, like, and then it breaks up, like, I don't want to remove myself from that person's orbit because I loved them enough to get married to them. Like, that's one of the few people on the planet that I can say that about. And it's the only person I can say that about. So why would I want to completely remove myself? And there's the kid tie that makes it obvious. Like, you have to be in their life. So like, why not make it like a good time? Like I want to, like, I'm always in Miranda's comments, like, and it's like a bit kind of like joking about how much I want her back. And it's funny. And by the way, I do love her. Like, I mean that, but like I do think
she's like, Chase, I want you back. Do you think you'd go, or do you
probably know? Yeah.
If she wanted me to, I'd be like, yep.
No, I mean, I don't know. That's like a funny, I always joke about that with her, but I always joke too. Like, if we get like one more kid, like platonic third, could be funny, because our kids are so cute. And but no, I think it's really unique.
Does she have a significant other?
No, she doesn't. She's single right now. So I'm definitely trying to shoot my shot. But,
yes.
I'm also single. No, I think we're really just really, really good friends. I think it's cool that we've been able to have this approach to it. And our kids, truly, like, I don't even think they understand the word divorce yet. I don't think they really maybe even know. They know that dad lives in a house over here and mom lives in a house over here.
They're all pretty close to each other?
Yeah, we're like 10 minutes. And so yeah, I think it's an interesting approach. It for sure isn't the traditional approach, but I also love that, you know, because nothing about, I think, me, for the most part, feels traditional.
Okay.
I love it so much.
Did either of you have a reckoning with your faithful family about just leaving the church?
Miranda did. I
And
mean,
you don't have to tell her story unless you feel like she's okay
well,
with
and I'd tell parts of it that I guess relate to me, but like I told my parents once I removed my name, I told my mom, told my dad separately because they were divorced. And I tried to approach it with respect, because I know that they care deeply about that. And they also, I know that they raised me not to force that upon me, but they thought it was the best way to do it. And I respect them for doing that. Miranda's, yeah, her parents obviously love the church, and her sisters are all very active.
all of them?
All of them, yeah.
Have they appeared on the show?
No,
Oh.
nor would they.
Oh, really?
No, I don't think so. And they weren't super supportive of her actually going on the show initially, but now they are. So good job to them for coming around to the obvious, which is that she's a star. But I think, yeah, it was rough. And I was actually, while we were still married, was when she kind of took her, it was like a year after me, but it was when she kind of was like a little bit more vocal about, there was like a trip or something where they were going to go to a temple. I don't remember, someone's wedding. And she was like, I'm not going to go. This is why. And it was hard, but you know, she's got to a place now where I think they have a great relationship about it. And as I do with my parents and my relationship with the church, she's never trying to change her parents' mind, nor am I trying to change mine. But I'm also like pretty firm in what I believe and what I don't believe. And she is as well.
I love it. Okay. Maybe it's time to dive into actual show stuff. Is that okay?
Yeah, we've already been starting to. So
Yeah. Okay. So are you allowed to talk about your impressions of people and or relationships, other fellow show members or whatever, or do you try not to do that? And I'm not saying like
I can tell you how I feel about people, I think. I don't think there's any issue with that. I mean,
so can I just ask some of my questions and you too, Samantha?
Yeah.
Sure.
So obviously the relationship between Taylor and Dakota just feels obviously incredibly cyclically toxic. On the one hand, I just feel really sad for both of them that they're just hurting each other.
Yeah.
And then that makes me feel angry at the show. Like it's the show that's making them be in this bound toxic relationship. On the other hand, they're probably making a ton of money and getting a lot of fame and status from it.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether to feel sorry for them or to like feel like they're wanting it and asking for it, or are they kind of playing it up and making it up, or is it truly tragic? And if it's truly tragic, then we're all maybe complicit in like nurturing and feeding a really unhealthy narrative, not to mention the kid or kids that are involved. Yeah. So like, are you even able to go there in your own brain?
You how I feel 100%. I actually, and having a relationship with, having known Taylor now for 8 years and seeing her, you know, from her earlier stages of her first marriage to the divorce to, you know, obviously dating Dakota and kind of how that's gone. I do like, I love Taylor in that I love how she is such a, she's always been very real about her struggles and her, you know, her shortcomings. And so I remembered meeting Dakota, who I didn't know super well until we went to the Vanderpump Villa this last summer, and I got to spend 4 days with him.
So he was never a part of that early scene?
Nope.
Okay.
Didn't know him at all, despite the fact that he's also from Idaho. He's from Middleton, so he's far away from where I'm from. But I got slack for this, for saying this on the last season, but like, Dakota is one of the funniest people. I love hanging out with Dakota. He's a great hang, and I think he's a great person. And he's overcome substance abuse and an addiction to like hard drugs. And I think that's on a very, very it's a very impressive feat. And I know he cares a lot about his son, and I know he cares a lot about Taylor. And it is tragic because I know them both, and I know how much they do love each other, but I also do know how toxic it is. And it's a bummer to watch because having been with both of them on a bunch of occasions, I truly like both of them as people. And I wish they could make it work, because I think that'd be the most fun couple if they could somehow navigate through all of the toxic cycles that have happened. I just don't think it's in the cards. And I actually told him in Vanderpump Phil, I was like, dude, you guys are endgame. Like, I'm pretty sure you guys are endgame. What sucks is that, like, it keeps happening. The toxicity.
Is that the show's fault?
No, it's not. I mean, the show definitely exacerbates the issue. I would for sure agree with that. But I also think that something like a little insight into Taylor. I remember back in like 2019, one of our DoorDash nights, we were sitting there sober as a clam, having, you know, a chat, me, Taylor and Miranda, and we were talking about our dreams and aspirations and goals. And I remember asking, you know, Taylor's turn came up. Mine was like, oh, I want to play in the NFL or whatever. It's obviously not happening anymore. But Taylor was like, I want to be on TV. I want to be on TV or like on a show. I was always like, really? That's such an interesting dream. Like, I never thought about that. And then she accomplishes it. And so she's, in a way, like, I think she deserves credit for chasing a dream and reaching it. And now she's the protagonist in 2 different shows that are coming out, you know, and within like 2 weeks of each other. But that being said,
wait, Secret Lives
and then Bachelorette.
Okay.
But that being said, I think Taylor's strength is also her weakness, where she got famous for being like pretty raw, pretty real, and like maybe even a little bit unhinged with the TikTok live and being like someone that will call out any sort of crazy behavior or like toxicity, or I'll tell you how it is. Like, that's her whole persona years ago. And I feel like now Taylor wants badly to be at a place where she doesn't like, that's not really her thing anymore. And I think she wants a stable relationship. I think that she loves Dakota in a way that she's never really loved someone before. And I think that's probably really scary because there's so many emotions that he evokes with her. But it's sad because at the core, I see 2 people that love each other. And on the exterior, what you see is massive amounts of toxicity. And it's you know, it's bilateral. It happens on both sides.
You're saying that track, Samantha?
I'm feeling so validated by this because that's been my opinion from watching the season. I liked Dakota this season. And I feel like Taylor just has such strong attachment wounds and they're not able to like get past that. But they do seem like they really love each other.
Yeah. I don't care if this makes me in trouble because like I love both of them. I think they're both really good people with just really, they're wounded. And I think that's part of the reason why it's such good TV is because it's like, obviously it's painful to watch. And
I mean, I think, you know, every season I'm like, I'm not going to watch this season.
Yeah.
And then because I run Mormon Stories, eventually something makes me do it.
Pretty adjacent.
I feel like Al Pacino pulls me back in.
Yeah,
you know, Godfather 3.
Yeah, it's a black hole.
but like then when I watch it and I'm like, yes, it's absurd. Yes, it's ridiculous. Sometimes it feels barely Mormon, but I always feel like there are real humans behind the characters and real human dynamics that are on display for all of our weird benefit. Yeah. You know?
Totally. And I feel like actually like people that push back on like, this isn't how Mormons are. And I'm like, it's not really doctrinally how Mormons are. That's for sure. But it will give you a very, very, I think, realistic and current perspective into modern Mormonism within like Utah. Like, I think that's actually exactly how it is. Having experienced
it's how millennial and Gen Z Mormons are,
where it's
right?
like, this isn't the idea, but it's also the culture. And I think that permeates throughout the show and the theme.
Yeah. Whether it's divorce or, you know, psychedelics or experimenting with non-monogamy or losing your faith or, you know, appearance stuff, like, what's not Mormon about all that stuff these days, right?
Yeah, it's totally. It's a collision course of real everyday people that have believed in maybe an orthodox religion, a high demand religion, that are now, you know, coming to a reckoning of like, do I anymore, and how do I confront like this celebrity lifestyle the girls have in real time, juxtaposed to being Mormon, you know, or being barely Mormon or being post Mormon,
or exploring.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll swear a tiny bit here, but when Taylor talks about Dakota as a fuckboy or whatever, what I hear you saying is that's not the totality of how she views it. Because part of me feels like he's saying, yes, I was unfaithful. It reminds me a tiny bit of you. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if you relate a little bit to him.
Totally.
But he's kind of saying, yes, I wasn't always faithful, but I do love you. And I want to try and make this work. That's what I'm hearing when I see Dakota.
Yeah, and I think Dakota too, and I would tell him this to his face because I have. I'm like, dude, there are parts of your personality when it comes to like Dakota is a charming dude. Like I've been out with him. Like people like Dakota. Girls like Dakota. And so his
he seems, is he tall?
yeah, he's kind of like my height. I think he's 6'2". He's not as tall as you.
Yeah.
I'm not as tall as you, but like he's like when we're out and about, like you talk to Dakota, you will like Dakota. I promise you'll like him. And the people that hate him on the show, cool. You talk to him in person, he'd get a picture with you. He'd ask you how your day's going. He'd ask you something about like the person you're with. He's the most charismatic dude. He's a really good guy. And that being said, him and Taylor, they do have like a relationship that brings out the worst in them. And the worst of Dakota is a bad person. The worst of me is a bad person. And if you want to highlight that, and that's who you always think of someone, like you'll find that with anyone. And that's part of my I try to tell Michaela once in the show, I'm like, if you want to measure me by the worst I've done, like you're right. I'm a bad guy. But like you can also look at the different, a different lens every now and then if you want. And I try to do that with Dakota because I want in turn for people to do that with me.
That's beautiful. Did you have questions about Taylor, Dakota, or are you good?
No.
Okay, I've got my little cheat sheet here.
Hell yeah.
Because there's so many freaking names, and sometimes they all look different, and sometimes they all look alike. So Whitney Connor, Whitney's obviously having a moment with Dancing with the Stars. She seems just incredibly talented, and it seems like she's trying to pivot her persona this season to be less of the drama queen, bad girl, villain, to be more wise, to be more listening, to kind of rise above the drama of it all, and really to take her career to the next level, probably beyond Secret Lives.
Yeah.
And on some sense, I'm kind of cheering her on. I'm like, I don't want you to be a villain.
No.
And I want to see you succeed. And if that means moving beyond the crazy silliness, then if that's what you want, good for you.
Yeah.
What are your impressions?
Whitney is the most in alignment person on the show.
Really?
I've said it since season 1.
And Whitney is literally doing what she was put on the planet to do now, which is be in the arts and be on Broadway. That is exactly where she's supposed to be. And I think what's funny is you can watch it in real time this season, where like it's taxing for her to act like she has to care about all the stuff back here that got her to where she is, which by the way, it was awesome that was the springboard to get her to where she's going to be. But we would all be remiss to wish anyone out of their own alignment. Whitney is exactly where she's supposed to be. And Connor is the goal for like supportive husbands. And those two should be a lesson to everyone. Like that, you chase your dreams, and then as soon as you get there, never apologize, because anyone that's upset about it is out of their own alignment.
Do you sense they they seem just like joined at the hip?
Yeah,
totally supportive and getting along.
They seem whimsical, they seem happy, and it's because they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And I think that is like reverberates throughout their entire being.
So there's a little bit, I don't know if it's in the first season, about Connor, right?
Yep.
Maybe having feelings that were different than normal heterosexual kind of feelings. Like, and you don't have to say anything about that. I don't even.
Isn't that a rumor that like?
I think that a little bit what happened. That I think there was like a Tinder thing.
Yeah, I heard it was Grindr.
I feel like
I think that was actually, I think just that was completely untrue. I think that I've seen that too, but like I think it's just Tinder. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's a falsehood.
Totally.
I'm glad I asked.
No,
because I don't care what people do.
I know you don't.
Yeah.
Totally. And I'm glad you asked too, because that is a misconception.
Oh, wow.
Where it's like Connor will lay on the sword for what he did wrong.
Why are you saying that?
Just because we've done like 3 seasons of commentary.
Yeah.
No, but I've also had 100 people ask me that, and I'm like, no. That's not
are you saying you're learning that for the first time?
No,
too?
I knew that was
true.
Okay. But there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people, John, who I've had bring that up and I've heard that. And I'm like, I'll correct that one, because it's like that's actually not what happened.
So that he's happy, and you sense he's happy in the relationship.
Oh, I think that he is beaming, because Connor knows that he's married to a star, and he knows, like, he loves Whitney.
Seems to like him.
She does, and they're the best couple, and I think they fit each other perfectly, because they're both, and I think that's what the coolest part is. I do think that Whitney is, the whole thing about Mormon wives, I think it's cool, is like these women that are breadwinners, that are these stars, and then their husbands, who for the most part are caretakers now, watching the kids, and they take the other side of it. And I think that, like, you see the different couples wrestle with how that reality and that non-traditional sense. And then Connor and Whitney are acing the test when it comes to that, which is Whitney is going to be on Broadway. Who knows how long? I hope forever, by the way, because she's so damn
also
good.
starring in a movie.
She's starring in a movie. Like Whitney should always do that. And then Connor is figuring out what his thing is, because he also was a badass at his job, and he quit that to support Whitney. So Connor was doing great in his own right, but he's also understands that he loves Whitney, and her alignment right now, he's following and showing like, hey, you're the star, and I'm going to do whatever. I watch the kiddos. I'm going to teach myself magic, which I think is so awesome and so
cool.
secure in his masculinity that he's just like, yeah, dude, I'll do that. And I'll watch the kids until you are done. And I can't think of a better example of a married like couple who's gone through some hard times. And whenever I see him, I mean, I saw him at Lifetime like probably a year ago, and I was like, I love you guys because you guys have gone through stuff. You've gotten hate on the internet, you know. Whitney is, I always say, I laugh because like her whole like the RSV video that she got in trouble for, like hated on. And it's like
where
Whitney
she did a video,
but it's like when you look at Whitney through the lens of this is a theater kid who is meant for the arts and Broadway. And that's why she's such a star. And that's also why whenever you try to bring her back into like caring about what's going on with the drama of MomTok, she's just kind of like, because it's like, that's not her design right now. And it was maybe, and that's why maybe she was maybe the villain more so, because it's not ultimately, I think, her purpose. Her purpose is right where she's at. And I love watching her, and I want more Whitney on my screen on Broadway. Could
there be a day where she leaves MomTok, do you think? Like formally leaves it? Or do you think she'll always keep that as...
I think she should. I mean, I don't know what she's going to do, but I think she should get out of that and just do all of Broadway and shows and movies and whatever.
She's a big star.
She is.
Our first panel that we did for season 1, I felt like I was going to bat for Whitney, and people really hated me for it.
Yeah, no,
and
Whitney's,
it was so hard to defend her.
Whitney's a polarizing one, but she is truly doing, I think, exactly what she's meant to.
Yeah, I love her.
I want to, Samantha, I'm just going to say, like, I think, I'm going to make you blush. Like when I think about Whitney and how incredibly talented she is in so many ways, I see you the same way, Samantha.
Wow.
I know.
In what?
No. Singing. She's got Spotify songs.
Oh, really?
She's funny.
I'm not as good at anything as Whitney is at dancing.
No, but you're super intelligent and witty. And I think, Samantha, you have star quality. And
really nice
I'm
job.
sending this out to the world. Like, I think Samantha is a talent.
Put me in a Broadway show.
Discovered. And I see you like a couple times a year. So it's not like, I'm just being honest.
That's really nice.
And I think
Thank
as
you.
an artist, you do yourself a disservice anytime you try to like get super practical about people giving you compliments about being an artist. You should just lean into it. And say,
Yeah,
you.
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
You're like, yeah, I am that.
And I have all the correct opinions about the secret lives of women wives always. And everything that Chase is saying is just like, yeah,
So
I'm
universe
so validated.
Yeah.
makes Samantha super successful.
There we go.
Because she's super talented.
It'll give. You just got to tell it to.
Okay. All right. So just like crazy, like real time, Margie texts me a People magazine article that just came out like a few minutes ago or an hour ago. And it says Mormon wives halts filming after Taylor Franke Paul involved in recent alleged domestic violence incident. And I'm so sad.
Yeah, me too.
And you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but like, that's real-time news.
It's real-time news. I think, I mean, I don't know the details a ton. I obviously, what I love about the show for me is that like, I'm not inner circle. I'm not. And I actually really like that because I think there's a tax on being inner circle. I actually love to do the ignorance is bliss thing.
Do you mean the pressure and the stress?
No, not so much that, so much as like the of like, talks between production and cast members. And I mean, I'm someone that's like, hey, will you come to this? I'm like, sure. So I don't know. Yeah, I obviously big fan of Taylor, big fan of Dakota. I know they're very toxic, and it sounds like there's been another incident, and I hope to God that gets worked out in whatever way it should. But I also hope that they will figure it out and get help.
Okay. Yeah. Well, our best to all the family people involved.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have something? No? Okay.
Just reality TV makes people feel like they have to pick a side on everything when really there's just a lot of human complexity interacting.
I'm Switzerland, is that what they say? I want that one. I'm like, I love them both and I cheer for them both and I want nothing to do with. I have told Dakota though, like, dude, this is the thing with Taylor. Like you have, you're up against, a very beloved person and I love Taylor, but I also, she's complex. And I think that she's imperfect, and she would say the same. So I hope that they work on that, and get that figured out eventually at some point. But it's up to them.
I mean, if it really goes south at some point in like significant ways where their lives are really damaged,
Yeah.
I'm probably going to feel, well, not only super sad, but a tiny bit complicit that collectively we all contributed to an environment. Because I mean, my guess is maybe some of this behavior you wouldn't have predicted 5 or 10 years ago when you knew her, or maybe you wouldn't have predicted at all.
I do think that you're right about like it being exacerbated again online because of a show. And I think that's also the tough thing though, is that was Taylor's dream. So it's like, yeah, it's like we are complicit, but it's also like also complicit in the dream element. So it's like, it's hard because I feel like it's very personal. And ultimately, I think that I am against blaming, I guess, the masses for something that I do or she does. I think ultimately Taylor knows what's right and wrong. And she's also someone who carries a lot of guilt for things she's done wrong. And that's why I relate with her, because she'll be the first one to tell you that she's messed up. And I don't expect this to be any different. I don't know the severity of it, but I hope it's something that can get worked out.
Well, again, best wishes to all the family members involved.
Yeah.
Jen and Zach, thanks for letting me do this. So like Zach was going to go to med school.
Yeah.
And then at some point he bails from med school to try and support Jen. In this season, Jen's also on Dancing with the Stars. She didn't win, but she you could tell she's getting a bug for Hollywood.
Sure. And
Zach's getting frustrated being Mr. Mom, although I'm guessing, I was watching with Margie and Clara, and I'm like, they've got a nanny. But they're making it, I'm guessing they do, but they're making it look like he's watching the kids all on his own. And Margie and Clara are almost mad at me for suggesting they would have a nanny. But still, kids are hard. Being a dad is hard even with a nanny. So I'm not trying to diminish it.
No.
But like you're getting the impression that Zach, his patience is wearing thin.
Yeah.
Jen is getting the Hollywood bug. And it's one of several relationships that I'm thinking, this relationship might have an expiration date, And I'm not asking you to opine on that, but just on the dynamic.
Yeah.
Because sometimes Zach doesn't come off great. But then other times I wonder whether like you, if I got to know him, or like Dakota, I would actually think he was really cool. I don't know how to. You
would think Zach's cool. I like Zach. I do think that I know Jen. Jen's probably the person I know the least on the cast. Like I never was around Jen. I've only talked to her probably twice. I don't know Jen at all. I know Zach, and I know that Zach is. I actually have a lot of empathy for Zach because he grew up in the church. I think from a wealthy family, and I think that he is in real time. I can kind of see some of the I personally see some of the like things that he's recognizing, and I won't speak for him on this because I think it's maybe something in the next season. But like I just think that Zach is also like struggling with the non-traditional role of being a husband right now because Jen is a star, and I don't know what the length of like how long that'll last. I don't think you can really predict that. I also think that like in the last season, he says like in Hollywood's not a great example of like marriages. And it's like, yeah, that's fine. That's probably true. But it's also like, I don't think that's a reason to avoid it if that's what Jen wants to do. I feel like more so than almost any other couple on the show, I know that Zach and Jen have they've gone through their struggles publicly, but I also know that they both have a desire to make it work. And I've seen that in Zach, where I know that there's some push, but there's also some pull where I think he realizes like, okay,
well, he did give up med school.
Yep. And then he's
not loving being a supporting role.
Sure.
And of course, Jen's saying, well, I was a supporting role for you. Why can't you be? So it's complicated.
It is complicated.
He's trying. It seems like he's trying.
And that's what I think is such great television though, because you literally see the wheels, like the cogs turning, and you're just like, okay, maybe the reaction wasn't the greatest one right there, but I know Zach, and I know that he's like, okay, he's good at being like, I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I have a different perspective now. And so I really do think Zach is trying, and I think that he loves Jen. I know he loves Jen so much. I just think it's a tough dynamic because the med school was his plan, and then probably being a doctor of sorts, and then providing, and kind of the traditional route. And that's definitely not where they're at. And it doesn't seem to be like where they're headed. And I wonder if he's able to rationalize that. And I think he will. But I don't really know Jen that well, to be honest. It's like one of the people I've spoken to the least.
there's a part of me that, like with Dakota and Taylor, I feel like it's almost harmful to their marriage that they're trying to work these things out in the public eye.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it's tough.
But yeah, so I do worry about that. And I guess I do wish them well. I don't know what else to say. Oh, I was going to say this, a couple things. One is, do you ever think about, so like all the time journalists will reach out to me and say, why are so many Mormon women so successful at social media? And one of the theories around that is that it's almost like patriarchy revenge, like Mormon women are raised feeling like they're secondary to their husbands and support to their husbands. I think we used to call them, the temple ceremony used to say, a helpmeet to their husband.
Yeah.
And like social media in many ways gave Mormon women a way to shine separate from their husbands. And so there's all this noise now in the news that hopefully you've seen this, and I'm sure you have thick skin, but I've seen headlines like Dad Talk is ruining Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Yeah.
And I think they do make cuts. And I don't know if y'all play into this, but they do make cuts where sometimes the guys don't look great.
No,
you know?
Oh God, yeah. That's all the time.
But also they probably make cuts that way because it really is at its core a show about women.
It is.
And that's awesome. And that's, I think, part of what people love about it. But like, how do you explain the patriarchy Mormon feminism dynamic? Do any of the women identify as feminists? Would they even hate that term? Do you think it's a revenge against patriarchy? Like, you know,
I think a couple of the women might be able to identify as feminists, and I laugh at that because I think I think all the women should identify as feminists, because that's exactly what they're doing is they're trying to advocate for, at the very least, like equal treatment and equal respect.
And that's all feminism means, right?
That's all it is. It's not more, it's not less, it's equal. And I think that, I know that Miranda, you know, again, she kind of aligns with where I'm at politically, and so like feminism is celebrated and should be. And any notion to the other to the opposition of that is, I think, patriarchal, and it's also outdated and obsolete. But I think that, what the women, I mean, to go along with what you said, women, Mormon women specifically, there's a lot of women that have just been become stars online, whether it be through blogs back in the past or now currently, you know, Instagram and later TikTok. I think so. I think it's probably something like that, like a way for them to shine. And obviously, you know, in general, especially in the culture around here, like there's such an emphasis on looks. And so like, obviously being one of the highest, you know, cosmetic surgery areas in the per capita in the country as well factors into the looks beside. And I think that people are naturally attracted to looks, and online, that's always going to be kind of there's a huge market for, you know, how to be better, like maybe better looking or the best version of yourself. And so that plays into it for sure. I think that the women, whether or not they know it, are feminists, because that's what the show is, and that's what it should be. And
a working mom, that's feminism.
It is a working mom, and your husbands are, you know, watching the kids at home, and that's not shameful. That's new age. And I think it's really cool to embrace that. And it should be celebrated more. And there shouldn't be, that's my thing with Zach and like the guys that have a hard time with it, was like, hey, you kind of signed up for this. And like your wife is a star. And that means by design right now, I don't know how long it lasts, but like you're supposed to be number 2. And like, you should celebrate that just the same way Connor is, which is like, hey, my wife is the star. And I just saw a video of him doing a magic trick outside of Whitney's Chicago show.
Me too.
And then he does the magic trick successfully, and everyone's cheering, and they start to go, Connor. And he goes, Whitney. And I'm like, dude, like that alone shows how much you care about your spouse. And that is so cool, because traditional gender roles were always the other way around. And all that women are doing right now is advocating for them to be treated the same. And so this show should be a show about women. I think it's fun to see the dad side of it and how much they're struggling, because that actually is like that's real, by the way. Like some of them are struggling more than others, but it's really like a real like peel of the onion away, like what's happening in these relationships where the women are stars and they are celebrities of sorts, and they're going to the Oscars or whatever it is, but their husbands are known kind of as their husbands. And it's always been, over the course of time, it's been the opposite. It's like, who's the man? Oh, this is his wife. And we've seen that on so many occasions where it's like, this is, you know, even people will say it like, this is his wife. And it's always like, oh, so demeaning. And so, like, you know, you run it shouldn't be that way. So it's okay for men for a while to get that treatment because it's kind of like deserved and it's overdue. And it's also happening on, you know, the show's going to be 5 seasons. We'll see about after that. But it's like, that's happened to women forever. You know, they were trade pieces forever in marriage where it was like, this is, I'll give you my daughter to this, you know, you know, back in the day, as a chess piece, and it means money and it means all this thing. And it's like, women were never treated like men. And so it's okay to kind of reverse course on that first. That's why I love the show. Cause I do think it's fun to kind of be like, I'm a background dancer. I'm not the main event. I shouldn't be the main event. Like,
wow. It's cool to hear you embracing that. Like, I'm thinking about why the dad talk guys subconsciously to me maybe don't come off great.
Yeah.
I'm sure part of it is the gender roles that my brain is conditioned to expect. I'm sure there's a level where my brain is going, well, these guys aren't being real men. Now, I would never vocalize or even think those thoughts, but I know I have to be conditioned to feel that a man should be providing and leading.
We all are. And I think that I've always kind of tried to stay a little bit away from the whole dad talk thing. Like, you'll never catch me. I don't typically do the videos. I just think that the whole term itself is always a little cringy. And I expressed that to like my brother and Dakota. I was like, dude, I'm not down with this dad talk thing. Like, we are here to basically be, you know, assisting in whatever way, like whatever plot needs to be added. And again, we're not the main event, shouldn't be. And that's what I like about it. That's why I think Connor does so well on it. And he's so well liked, because it's like, he's okay with that. And everyone should be okay with that. You should embrace it.
Yeah. And going back to Jen and Zach, what I see in Zach's humanity is him just struggling to reconcile the Mormon patriarchal leader. I mean, for heaven's sakes, he's from a wealthy Mormon family and he was going to go to med school. Now he's literally watching the kids while his wife's a superstar.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the conflict and pain I see in Zach is him just trying to make sense of that and still maintain a sense of self-worth and self-efficacy.
What I think is really interesting about Zach is that, like, I think his desire to do something where he feels like he is, you know, well respected, and like, just like everyone, like, that's like the traditional male role is like, you want to do something to provide so you feel like you're well respected. But I like, Zach, if you could just realize what you're doing as a supporter right now of Jen is exactly that. You are doing something that it's respected and it's appreciated. Maybe not to the crowd of people that you typically would appeal to, but it's like, people love the fact, if you would just get out of your own way and understand that you are number 2 right now, and you should celebrate the fact that you're number 2. That's in and of itself a step in the right direction, way more so than you getting like a conventional or a traditional job and providing in the way that your dad did. Like, embrace it. I just think that's the message to everybody on that show, is just embrace your role and be happy about it and be a cheerleader. You should be a cheerleader.
Yeah, in that sense, it is kind of revolutionary, not just in Mormonism, but culturally, because it is defying traditional gender roles and stereotypes. And I think it overall, I mean, some would say all the plastic surgery or all the makeup and the hair and the clothes and all the silliness is just toxic culture, but it's objectively true that they're challenging, damaging gender stereotypes and communicating empowerment for women. Yeah. That's also true.
Yeah. And I think that, like, actually I just think that, like, with the whole, like, yeah, there's a lot of, you know, some of the girls have had enhancements or plastic surgery or whatever, or they get their hair done at, you know, Jay-Z Styles with the hair extensions and stuff. And I'm like, I think that traditionally speaking, like, I know that there's a lot of people that, you know, have feelings about, oh, that's so much work and stuff. I think what's cool is, like, I think and Miranda and I have talked about this, where it's like what it means to be a woman without any sort of regard for anyone else's opinion. And by the way, I don't know what it means to be a woman, nor should I ever be someone that's quoted as thinking he does. But I do think that, like, my opinion from talking to Miranda, who is a great woman, is like, what it means to be a woman is to do exactly whatever it is that you want to do with your appearance and your demeanor and how you dress. And if that means you dress up to the nines and you're wearing a dress and your hair and your makeup done like you're going to the Oscars, that is inherently feminine, because that is what you should, that's what you want to do. And I think it's probably in alignment with yourself. Now, if you're the type of woman that doesn't really like to wear a ton of makeup, or, you know, you like your hair how it is and it's not professionally done, or whatever enhancements aren't interesting to you, that is within your alignment to not do it. And I think that's what's so cool about the show is you get women, and all of them are very, very, very pretty. They're very elegant, and they're on these shows where they're wearing dresses and they look like they're dressed to the nines, and they are, but like they're all doing what I think they're in control of their style, and they're in control of what they look like. And I love that, because like that's exactly how every single woman should look at how they dress and act, is like, what do you want to do? And if it's, I want to dress like, I want to get all of my makeup done, I want to do this, like do that. And anyone that says anything otherwise, fuck that, dude. Like do yourself. I'm sorry if I can't swear, but
no, you can swear.
Like, yeah, I love that about like being a woman is doing absolutely exactly what you think you should do. And it's typically dressing for the female gaze, which is, by the way, way better than the male gaze.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can talk about like the impact patriarchy has on different beauty ideals that like I will still find myself following as a woman. And I don't think I think it makes no sense to be like shaming or judging what any individual woman does one way or the other. And it's like, even under patriarchy, we all get to choose like how we want to exist within that. Even if it is catering to the male gaze, it's fun to cater to the male gaze sometimes.
Yeah, totally. I think that, again, it's all in alignment with whoever individual people want to do. And I love that about the show, is that a lot of the girls, they get slack for like, oh, this is so fake, or you can't believe they're getting another surgery done. It's like, yeah, dude, guess what? She paid for that on her own. She's 27. Like she just, you know, I want to do this. And it's like, you probably couldn't pay for a surgery like that if you wanted to. Cause like other people, like they live a life that they have attracted, and that does come with whatever it comes with. And so I think it's really, really empowering. And I think most of the girls would kind of say the same, and they have different opinions on all that. But I think what you said is true too. Like if it's dressing for the male gaze or the female, whatever it is, I just think that like do whatever it is you should do. And again, my whole thing is stop caring about what the masses think or what the critical opinions are, because I don't think that those really serve anyone.
Margie reminds me that feminism doesn't mean being a stay-at-home mom, and it doesn't mean being a working woman. It means women getting to choose what they want to do.
Women get to do whatever the hell they want. Yeah. And I think that's cool.
Yeah. Love it. Okay. Well, I'm going to formally wish Jen and Zach good things.
Totally.
I hope they can work that out.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be sad to see them not work that out.
Maybe it would be in their alignment.
That's also true. Also true. Yes, and I love it. All right, Jen and Zach, whatever's good for y'all, do that.
We support it. Rights and wrongs.
Okay. Well, let's see. I'm trying to think if there's any other plot lines that are really important to me to talk about. Are there any characters or relationships you want to ask about, Samantha?
Not really. I feel like, yeah, this has been great. It's nice to hear more from Chase.
Let me ask this. I have a close friend who all he did was go on Soft White Underbelly, talk about being a Mormon bishop, where he talked about calling Kurt McConkie. His name's Bo Euler. He went on Soft White Underbelly. All he did was basically tell the story of when he was a bishop. He had a child abuser come to him, confess child abuse. He calls Kurt McConkie. They tell him to not report the abuse. And the abuser doesn't get reported. And he tells that story. He is probably at this moment been excommunicated from the church. Like if you say, like, I've been excommunicated just for having a podcast, 10 years ago, like, I could list so many people that have been excommunicated for doing really good things.
Yeah.
For being whistleblowers against child sex abuse, they get excommunicated. Like, are you aware of any member of this show, this cast, male or female, ever experiencing church discipline for anything before or after the show came into existence that you're willing and able to talk about?
That's a great question. I know that around season 1, there was like an article that was put out. They were like, basically, we don't we don't condone this, which I thought was so funny.
The church putting that out.
Yeah, like they put out an article.
Yeah,
I don't
read it.
remember where,
Yeah,
but it was
yeah.
like, this is not reflection of our values, which I thought was just like you're telling on yourself, basically.
Wow.
It's kind of like when someone by their own admission is like, hey, I didn't steal that. And you're like, we didn't even ask, like what a weird thing to say. I don't think there's ever been, I wonder if Taylor's gotten anything like that, because I know that she's technically still a member. Some of the girls have left the church. Like Jesse's not a member of the church. I know that Michaela and I think Macy kind of go. I think Whitney too, but it seems like maybe not quite as frequently. I don't know if they've ever gotten any discipline. I don't think so. I haven't heard of anything where like someone gets in trouble. I honestly feel like Taylor might have if Taylor did get some sort of, like judgment or whatever, maybe excommunicated or at least talked about like not voicing that she's Mormon. I feel like that would be a terrible move for the church, because she'd probably just you don't want to go up against Taylor Paul. I mean, especially on social media. And I've been on the wrong end of that one. So,
but I mean, isn't that weird that like extramarital sex, adultery, alleged child abuse, and I'm not targeting her at all.
Yeah.
I'm not targeting her at all, or even judging her at all. I'm noting the kind of double standard of the Mormon
and you
Church.
started a podcast and then you get excommunicated.
Or Sam Young leads a movement to protect children from child abuse, and he's excommunicated. Or Jeremy Runnels publishes the CES letter, and he, has to resign because he is the disciplinary council's held. Or Bo Euler talks about the church, recommending that he not turn in a child abuser, and he's excommunicated. I'm trying to just shine a spotlight on what the church does and doesn't really care about.
Yeah.
And it's almost hypocritical, but how do you make sense of it?
Well, I think the church, if we want to talk about things that the church does that are hypocritical, I think we could do another few hours on this podcast. And I do agree. Like, I think that that's ridiculous. I always thought that there was such a double standard with, like who, the portrayal of really caring about child abuse with the OUR situation and their connection to that. And then this
Tim Ballard.
scenario. Yep. Tim Ballard,
who
I, from the get-go, felt like vibes were off. I mean, I won't even go into that, but like, the whole time was like, okay, so there's this, and then that ends up being basically a complete farce. And, it's really quiet about all that. I mean, I had family members that were like loudly proclaiming their attachment to it. And then when it kind of all, it all crumbled, it's like crickets. And I think that's kind of what this is exactly the way I look at the church now. And this isn't to offend anyone that is a member, because I think that you can be a member if you want. You can also hear this, that like, it is impossible for me to look at the church and not think you operate just the same way that Sony would. Like, you're a corporation, and like whenever something bad happens, like HR related, just like that company where one of my favorite internet moments of last year, where that CEO was caught like hugging that other chick, and it was at the Coldplay concert.
Was it his wife?
It was not his wife. And like, that was the HR nightmare, but it was funny because like the company dealt with it. Terrible optic, but the company dealt with it and is still a company today. I don't even know. Maybe I'm sure they replaced the CEO, and I'm sure they replaced the chick, but like, that was hilarious. And we all kind of laughed. That's the church. When something terrible happens, it's an HR nightmare. They address it. They remove who they need to, and they continue. And they don't.
Or they don't remove. Like,
or they don't.
Like, I was surprised to hear David Archuleta is openly gay. They haven't touched him.
Well, I think that we're starting to see a theme when they're social media people. They don't touch them.
Because they did me.
Well, they get you. And then like these people that are like, whatever, it's a musician or it's Taylor, Franke, Paul. It's like, they're not touching them.
Like Dan Reynolds or like Tyler Glenn or David Archuleta. There's this double standard where you get a celebrity pass.
I wonder if it's because there's a little bit of a benefit that they get from Taylor saying she's Mormon, just because of the reach.
I was going to ask you that next. Like, do you think there's any part of the corporate Mormon church that feels like Secret Lives of Mormon Wives is good for the church's reputation?
Probably the same people that think it was good to hold on to GameStop and like really, really get invested in that, because it was like going to probably eventually pop off. I think, yes. I think there's like there are very calculated, smart minds over there that are like, yeah, we don't want this to be the representation of what we do, but we
won't
also
endorse it.
We don't hate that she is telling people on a massive scale that like she's Mormon, because that's going to bring intrigue. And like, that's the whole point of it all.
Because back in the, let's say 90s and 2000s, when I'm, having corporate jobs outside of Utah, I'll say I'm Mormon and people are like, oh, is that Amish people? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, is that polygamous people? And I'm like, oh, no. Like before the past 5-10 years,
Yeah.
Mormons were an afterthought. They were these weird missionaries that came knocking on your door,
Yeah.
or they were polygamists, or they were Amish or Mennonites.
Mm-hmm.
But no, now when people in the United States or even the world think Mormon, they think hot, good dancing, smart, funny, witty girls and their husbands that are goofy
And a BYU
fun.
team that can buy the best player in the nation.
What?
Like, and a BYU basketball
AJ
team
DeBonsa.
that can buy AJ DeBonsa. Like
Yeah.
they think about like, yeah. And I think that's a great thing for the church. That's probably why. Because they're like, we actually don't mind that attachment because it is massive and it's getting news, it's headlines. And I think that's headlines at the end of the day that are relatively like Taylor Paul's never going to come out and say like 10 reasons why I love being a Mormon, but she's going to tell people in passing that she's Mormon. Most of the girls too, like they're not like you kind of talked about how you in the 80s, like that's not the member they are. And to their credit,
they're like you.
They're like me
And Miranda.
Yep.
Back living in Riverton or wherever you were.
Harriman, yeah.
Harriman.
Uh-huh.
Like millennial Gen
Sure.
Zers, kind of in, but kind of not
Yeah.
taking it too seriously, having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think that they know that. They're like, there's not really
Who's
the church. I think they're going to be like, I think that they are mostly like, we can take the good here. And then every time anything bad happens, we are able to say like, well, we don't actually co-sign that, you know? So I think it's calculated. And just like someone at Sony or whatever, name a massive corporation, that's how they'd handle it.
Well, I get a sense, Chase, that you still love the Mormon people.
I do.
And still want good for the people in the church.
Absolutely.
Like, and Samantha, I want to get your take on this too. Like, there's a world where Secret Lives of Mormon Wives are positively transforming Mormon culture to make it less restrictive, less orthodox, less uncool.
Yep.
Maybe even more cool.
Sure. And I actually think that if embraced the right way, like you can make it work. I mean, I don't think it necessarily in my mind would work like that. Like, but I have friends that I'm friends with now that are Mormon, and I can poke holes in how that doesn't necessarily work in my brain all day long. But I also understand, I think that there's a new age of membership right now where like I look at like youth, which is obviously hemorrhaging. But the ones that are sticking to it for the most part are really nuanced. They're way more nuanced.
Drinking coffee.
They're drinking coffee and they don't care. And they're getting a piercing and they have a tattoo on their arm and they're like, I'm Mormon. And I'm like, you know what? That's a step in the right direction for
you,
for what I like. That's validating for me. Cause like, that's all I ever wanted was to like, I remember thinking like, I love Kobe Bryant's ear piercing. I love Michael Jordan. I love this guy's ear piercing. I love his tattoo. I like that. And being like, oh, I can't get that. I'm like, no, dude, get a tattoo. And then if you want to go to church, still go to church. I love that for the future of people, just because I think from a mental health stance, it's way better.
What do you think, Sammy?
Yeah, I mean, it is psychologically healthier, and I don't think it will keep people Mormon, because we already know that when groups like that loosen the rules,
I think it does kind of.
That's the rub is if this gets to be too prevalent, this culture becomes too predominant, then what it means to be a Mormon is have tattoos, have earrings, maybe do some soft swinging, drink, swear, party, not have a non-traditional marriage where the mom works outside the home or is an influencer, and your marriage more likely than not is going to end. Like, how is that good for the church culturally?
It's not. And I'm rooting for that. You know, I'm rooting for the church to eventually lose its tax exempt status. If I'm being honest, that's my real interest. But I love the membership. I love the people. I love everyone there. I'm just like, you know, save that 10% for a tattoo or whatever, you know, do something else.
Or childcare.
Yeah. Or therapy. Yeah.
That's interesting. So yeah, so it's going to get wild. It's already wild, and it's just going to get more wild. Do you think people have left the church? Well, I have two questions. Do you think people have joined the Mormon church because of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives in any meaningful number? And do you think people have started to question and or leave the church because of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives? Or do you even have any idea?
I would be shocked if a significant number of people have been led to the church because of Secret Lives.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like that.
It's like, I want to be hot and cool like them.
Cool? What are you watching?
If you're deterred to a high
No, listen,
demand,
what's the definition of cool other than what's on everyone's TV
true.
every night of the week is the most streamed thing? That isn't that
cool.
the definition
No,
of cool?
and not to say it's
Kind
not cool. I
of.
think it's more like if you are brought to a high demand religion because of a bunch of people that are like maybe living it kind of, I think that like I would question your ability to make really important life decisions. I would be like, what that influenced you to get baptized? Like, wow, like maybe question, like maybe you're like, what is a Mormon? And you look that up. But like, I would be shocked if it's led to any conversions. Maybe I'm wrong. But like, I also think number two, I hope it's kind of led to people at least that were like me, that were like, I don't really feel 100% like myself in this. And I don't really know where to go. And I don't feel like I have the courage to take any steps in the direction that I maybe need to. I hope it's helped those people because it's been a massive assist to me. And people ask me all the time, like, how are you doing? Like, as if it's like, because it's hard when the new season comes out. Like some people get a really bad, opinion online and a lot of critiques. And I've been fortunate for the most part. It's been relatively positive, but I'm like, you know what? I don't really care because I have done really dumb things. And when I do, the Sun writes an article about it and I'm like, well, that happened, that sucked. But I also feel like I'm doing what I want to do and I'm in alignment with where I'm supposed to be for the most part. I can always get better. But I hope that it's helped the people that were like me in the church at least continue to try to question and feel like, is that what you want to do? Because if so, good, do it. And if it's not, take a step out of your comfort zone because that's where the growth is,
Love it. You may or may not be able to answer this. There's this vibe that you had, when you were married to Miranda and you had all these friends who were couples where like people may have been lukewarm on the church or in or out, but it wasn't really discussed. Do you think it's ever happened where Whitney and Taylor and Jen and Jesse and Macy and whoever are sitting around going, wait, Joseph Smith married 14-year-olds? Wait, the Book of Mormon was translated with a stone in a hat? Wait, the book of, the Book of Abraham wasn't, verified by Egyptologists? Yeah. Like, do they ever get into the problems with the church's truth claims? Do they have awareness of it? Are there any who you are able to say just literally don't believe anymore? And they literally have lost their faith completely.
Yeah.
And are there others that are like literal true believers, or are they all kind of in the middle? Yeah. What are you able to say about their actual literal beliefs?
I know that Layla wouldn't care and Jesse wouldn't care if they don't believe in the church. They're completely out.
So Layla and Jesse are out.
Yep, they're out.
Non-believing.
Okay. Like not members.
Would they be aware of the truth claims problems and that type of stuff?
I think I don't know.
It's just not working for them.
I think Jessie might because I think she had a family member also leave that was actually in it for a long time. So she might know, but she left. She's not a member. Layla too. Miranda. I think that like Macy, Michaela, Whitney are all, they would consider them. If you asked, they'd say, yeah, I'm a member of the church.
But Jen, would that have been like you and Miranda like 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah, I think there's probably like a healthy amount of just like, it's a nuanced member. It's a new age nuanced member of the church. That's that's my guess. And I think that I'm right. Jen, for sure. I know that her and Zach members, nuanced though. Like they're not going every Sunday, I don't think. I'd be shocked if they were because she's to Dancing with the Stars. But who am I forgetting?
Is there anyone who wouldn't drink a beer?
Yeah. Yep. I don't think Macy or Michaela drink. I don't think that Whitney drinks. I don't think that Jen drinks.
Okay.
I don't think they drink alcohol.
Not that that's some major litmus test.
But I think that like it shows a level of commitment to their beliefs.
One thing I found strange in season 1 was when Whitney and Connor said they tried champagne for the first time when they moved into a house. And I was like, are they just Mormons who are like drinking for the first time for the scene?
So maybe they do. I actually probably shouldn't spec. I could be wrong on all of these, but like that's the vibe I got. Maybe Whitney and Connor do. They're also living in New York, and I feel like from the things I've seen, it seems like they're kind of maybe going through a little bit of a
exploration.
I don't want to say deconstruction, but like maybe something like that from what I've seen.
Interesting. All right.
I do think that like most of the women though, that like just because of like kind of like Miranda, and I think this is truly like probably a good thing for your psyche, but if you ask them about some of the like some of the hesitations that people have, like me, that led me to leave the church. It was very much like trying to prove that the church was true or not true. And, your critiques with Joseph Smith and the first vision, not actually being written down 10 years after or whatever, like there being a number of first visions during that time period, and how it wasn't all that unique at all, and how it was an angel at first, then it was later two personages and Jesus and God. And it's like all those, they probably wouldn't have a lot. I don't think they'd know. I just don't think that that's how they.
Are there any of them that would know the CES letter type stuff?
I'm sure they've heard of the CES letter, but like I really don't. I don't think any of them read it.
Okay.
And I could be wrong. Like maybe tell me I'm wrong, but like I don't think so.
But it's also possible, like with a lot of couples your age, you just never talked about.
They just don't care. And I think that like most of them would be like, no, I don't care. But like I'm very comfortable with where I'm at with my belief. Be like, oh, cool. Like who am I to say otherwise?
Do any of them feel like their participation on Secret Lives of Mormon Wives is like a missionary effort to like proclaim, either to like spread the gospel, or they want to change Mormon culture in a positive way because they're believers?
I actually think that like there's legs to some of the girls, and I don't even know that I can speculate on who, but I think some of them maybe think like, you know what, being on this and having it be, because I do remember hearing about when the title came out, like they had filmed the first season and Miranda wasn't a part of it, but I remember there was a ton of controversy about the name being Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. And I think that some of the girls, probably embraced the fact that they're like, you know what, we're not actually trying to like ridicule the church like you guys all think we are. We're actually just trying to show you how we live, and we are Mormon. And so it actually is our right to be on a TV show, claim the name, because I am Mormon, and I don't have to be your version of Mormon, but I can be what mine has worked for me at. And I think that like that was kind of the sentiment that some of them took. And I think that like, honestly, that's fine. It's a great title for getting people having polarizing opinions, and that's kind of the whole thing. But I do think that some of them probably go like, yeah, this is a secret life of a Mormon wife, because this is my life and I'm Mormon, despite not checking every box of the Orthodox
or not believing at all.
Like I used to be Mormon. And I think that's the argument too, is that a lot of the women were raised in Mormon households or around Mormonism because of their proximity to Utah. And so I think that like the argument is simply, well, a lot of them were around Mormonism in a way that the outside world hasn't been. And that's why there's so much intrigue.
I'll just say the Mormon Church is threatening to sue me right now because, for many reasons, but mostly they don't like that I have the word Mormon in my podcast, even though I've had it for 21 years. And I look at the term Mormon like I think many Jews look at the term Jewish. It's a culture, it's a heritage. And so even though the church excommunicated me, I still self-identify as Mormon, and I'm not trying to deceive people. And Mormon Stories interviews ex-Mormons and liberal Mormons and Orthodox Mormons. And I think it's good to expand. I mean, and obviously the church has rejected the term Mormon as something they don't want people using. So they've abandoned it. I love the fact that we're pivoting or reshaping the word Mormon to mean a group of people or a culture. And I don't think it's deceptive. I don't think it's disingenuous. I think it's healthy. And I think it's accurately descriptive of what we are, which is it's a people who come from a shared heritage that express our beliefs and non-beliefs in a lot of different ways.
I totally agree. And I think that like add that to a list of long hypocritical things that the church has done. I mean, my whole mission, I passed out cards that said Soy Mormon. That was the whole act. That we had videos made, like campaign about it. Like they spent millions of dollars on I am a Mormon. And then I come home and it's like, we're actually not going to say that anymore. And I remember a couple times I'd say Mormon and please don't say that. It's actually Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I was like, dude, you know what I mean? And I also I'm going to say Mormon. Like it's not, I'm not trying to offend anyone, but like I have lived that. That's always been what I've used. And so I'm so sorry. And it's generally, I think that's, I mean, Mormon stories. My story that I just shared with you, I'm no longer a member, but that was a story about me being Mormon. And I will never apologize for that. And I think that you shouldn't either. I think it's ridiculous that they're suing you, but add it to the list of hypocritical things. Like we said, could go on for a long time.
Fortunately, they haven't sued me yet, but they're just threatening to. So.
Oh, well, come what may.
Well, this has been amazing. I think we're probably reaching what should be the end. I've loved Chase. I've really loved getting to know you. I had great hopes about how you would come off, and you way exceeded that, and I even had really good hopes. I will say this would have never happened without you, Samantha. So thank you for making this happen.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And also Clara, my daughter Clara, shout out to her. I sat down with Clara and Margie and we watched like 6 or 7 episodes. And we binge watched like in one day, like 7 episodes.
Shout out to Clara.
We got a couple to go, but check it out. It's on Hulu. I think it's really interesting and poignant. Are you loving it?
I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah. You saw it all 10.
Yeah.
All 10, every season. Of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to say really quick, John, I do think that like everything I've discussed so far has been like really talking about like Whitney, for example, how she's doing what she's here to do. And I really think that's commendable and I love it. I think that you too, like you were instrumental in my ability to, I think, get to where I'm at now in being in alignment with myself. And I think that that's why I was so stoked about coming on this podcast, because I know people have opinions about you, right or wrong, like left polarizing ones. And I just think that like what you do is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And that's why anyone that has anything to say about John DeLynn, I'm always like, dude, I respect that guy and I like that guy a lot, because he, even though he doesn't know me up until today, like he helped me in ways that I think helped me get to where I'm at. And whether it's one person or millions, you know, we go through life and you hope that you affect someone, and like you did that with me. And so I'm a big fan.
Oh, wow. Thank you. And you watched Self on the Shelf too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm amidst 2 people that I'm a fan of. And that's why I was so stoked about coming on.
Thank you. Well, this has been a real treat for me. Should we have this be the one cast member we interview? Or do you think we should try and interview?
Get all of them, man.
Do you think any would? Do you think any others would?
Yeah, I think you could start. I'm curious. You could probably, I bet you could get Dakota for sure. I'd tell him to come on. You get Dakota.
Please.
You could, I'd tell Miranda too. I mean, I don't know. She's busy as heck nowadays, but like Miranda's got her own story, you know? And again, she was different than me. So I don't know that she was locked into all the podcasts and stuff that I was listening to, but like, I'm sure Miranda would want to come on. She loves doing podcasts, and I could put in a good word. I mean, I love you guys.
Thank you. I was bummed for Macy. Like part of the show is her trying to sell her book. I'm like, Macy, I'll help you sell your book. Come on, freaking Mormon Stories.
Yeah.
So I DM'd her and she hasn't responded. So.
She sold it in the end though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know. I like Macy a lot. I'm trying to become better friends with her and Michaela, which is taking a significant amount of legwork. But if I ever get there, I'll pitch you.
Well, to any other cast members, if you happen to catch this, we'd love to have you, of course. But also, if this is the one I do, other than Miranda, this is the one to do. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
I had a really good feeling about this, but I agree that it has exceeded my expectations.
Oh, dude.
And everything that you show yourself to be online, it's beautiful to see that you're like even more that in person, and it seems like it goes all the way down, which is cool.
That's gonna make me cry. There's no better compliment than that. Thank you.
Yeah, and then I'm watching the live stream, and the comments are all like, "They love you, Chase, and they love your
everyone keeps
vulnerability."
commenting green flags, the whole episode. Every time I look at the chat, green flags.
That's uncharted territory
just like
for
he
me.
has green flags.
There's red flags bad, and
red flags bad, green flags good.
I've checked a lot of those boxes, so it's nice to be over here for once.
Yeah. And people mostly just value, like you said, like authenticity, vulnerability, being genuine, being honest, being open. Right.
Well, and I think the best thing that people ask, it's like, what are you good at? What are you talented at? And I kind of go through. I remember someone asked me that yesterday, a couple weeks ago, in a thought exercise, and I was like, I don't think I'm that great at there's nothing that I can say I'm that great, like I'm the best at. And then I was like, you know what I am the best at is being Chase. I am the best at being Chase, and you're the best at being John. And I think that's the goal, is like be the best at being yourself, and the best version of yourself, obviously. But no one's better than being Chase than me. And I think that's actually kind of a cool thing.
I love that.
So true.
That's wise.
Yeah, you are wise. I love all your spiritual insights. I feel like we're aligned.
Yeah,
I made a lot of dumb choices, but I think through that you become more wise. Right?
Amen, brother. Amen. All right, man.
Hey,
well,
thanks
Chase,
again.
Thanks for coming on. Tell us how to pronounce your last name.
McWhorter. Just say
McWhorter.
like the coin. I always say McWhorter. Yeah.
Oh, McWhorter. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Chase McWhorter. All right, Chase.
Thanks again.
Samantha, do you tell people that you do coaching and that they can donate to Self on the Shelf?
You really can donate to Self on the Shelf.
How?
Patreon.com/Self on the Shelf.
Okay.
We also have a PayPal, which is linked in all our videos.
Nice.
And you do life coaching.
And I do SamanthaShelleyCoaching.com if you're going through a faith transition and want emotional support.
And you're a budding Broadway star.
Yes,
So
and
how do
if you're a
people who's
Broadway
your agent?
producer,
What?
I guess you at this point. So reach out to John.
50% is all I ask.
That's all he asks.
No, wait, I got to do less than 10. 9% is all I ask.
John or Joe.
9.9.
Got to do less than the church, right?
Yeah.
All right,
Beautiful.
Samantha. Well,
Thank
it's great to have you again. Thanks
Yeah.
for coming on. And really quickly, thanks to Brooklyn for what she does behind the scenes, and Julia. Please subscribe and like this episode. I don't do product placements. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I try and just keep it pure as possible. Our ads barely, make up like 10% of our revenue. We mostly live by donations. So if you donate, thank you. If you don't donate and you value this content and you want to see it continue, at a minimum, please subscribe and like. But if you can, go to mormonstories.org/donate, become a monthly donor. We're tax deductible in the US. We're transparent in our finances, and we try and spend all our money bringing you good content. So please support us if you can. We love your comments. Please light up our comments, tag us, comment, like it, share it. We love all the engagement. Be kind, but engage in lots of discourse. We love that as well. You can also follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. I'm even on Substack and we're on X. Like, follow us in all the places. We chop up these things and create shorts, but mostly just thanks for your support. Check out Secret Lives of Mormon Wives season 4. There will be a season 5.
Yeah, they're on a film pause, right? But they'll have one. Yeah.
So again,
in the
blessings.
fall.
Right. So blessings to Taylor and her family. But
Yeah. And I think if you were commenting and you like my perspectives on any of this stuff, these two were a big part of, I think, where I got where I am. So yeah, donate.
Now, how do people follow you?
Just D Chase Mac. My first name is Daniel. So Daniel Chase McWhorter, D Chase Mac on TikTok and Instagram. That's where I'm at. And
Can people donate to you or no?
Sure. Yeah. If I would hit me in Venmo, D Chase Mac.
And are you looking for something to date or not so much?
I think I got to do some more work, and in order to be a good partner, I'm working on that. But eventually, yes. Eventually, I'd love to get the companionship if I can get more green flags.
And I'll say, Miranda, if Chase keeps working on himself, give him another shot. Come on, Miranda, he seems like a nice guy.
Miranda's,
like he's working.
I see her
he's
rolling.
Doing the work.
She's rolling her eyes as she hears you say that.
No one's ever going to be your kid's dad.
Yeah,
like Chase.
One more platonic third.
No one will love your kids more than Chase.
Fact.
Is it true?
No, so true.
So like, come on, Miranda, give him another chance at some point when he earns it.
Come on, Miranda. Yeah, when I'm there, give it to me.
John's like, keep the patriarchal structure, guys.
Like, actually reconsider it.
No co-parenting.
Yeah, no co-parenting. No, we'll see. Maybe cross my fingers.
All right. And thanks for Margie and Clara for making this possible as well. Couldn't have done it without y'all. Be good to each other. Be kind to each other. Check out Secret Lives of Mormon Wives season 4, and we'll see you all again soon. Check out Stuff on the Shelf, and we'll see you all again soon on another episode of Mormon Stories podcast. Thanks, Chase.
Thanks.